What if SCP-001 arrived in Warhammer 40K? The sword of fire hangs above the gate when the angel sees the far future. He watches a whole other galaxy burn, a cruel age where souls scream inside a storm called the warp. If that storm grows too large, it will crash back a long time and tear open the gate he guards. He makes a choice he has never made. He lifts his sword, not to strike, but to cut a path between worlds. The blade falls, light splits reality, and SCP-001 steps out of his post and into Warhammer 40K. The sky over Hive Helios on Vardos Prime tears open at noon shift. For a moment, every lumen strip in the hive flickers. Conveyor belts halt, servo skulls drop from the air, voxhail frozen in their metal skulls. Millions of workers look up as dust filters shake, and they feel something they cannot name. Then the light comes. It is not the weak yellow of the hive lamps. It is white and gold and red all at once. It pours through the mile-high chasms between the hab blocks, washes over rusted pipes and stained brick, fills deep alleys where light never lives. In that light, a shape hangs. 4 great wings spread, each feather a burning line. A tall figure stands at the center, wrapped in old bronze and white robes that do not burn. In its hands is a sword longer than a hab tower. The blade is made of living fire. Down in the tram tunnel, a girl named Lyra drops her rivet gun. The gun hits the deck and clatters away. She does not chase it. Her eyes are locked on the angel in the broken sky. Is that a living saint? Someone whispers. Saints don't look like that, another says. That's the Emperor himself. Lyra says nothing. In her chest, her heart is beating too fast. The light feels heavy, like judgment. Above the hive, the angel looks past the world. SCP-001 sees the void. He sees a chaos cruiser sliding out of warp not far from Vardos Prime. Its hull is a twisted cathedral of black iron and red brass, covered in chains and nailed-on corpses. Warp fire leaks from wide cracks in reality around it. On its bridge, a champion of the Dark God smiles as crew chant. They load virus warheads into their launch tubes. Their plan is simple and cruel. Kill the hive, open the city to demons, let the world fall. In the mind of SCP-001, a quiet voice speaks. Guard the way, spare the innocent, deny the unworthy. That is his law. He has broken one part of it by leaving his first gate. He will not break the rest. He raises his sword. No trumpet sounds. No choir sings. The sword's light simply tightens to a thin, hard line that points into the void. On the Chaos Cruiser, warning runes flare. A mortal sensor officer screams as his lenses overload. The champion turns toward the main pick screen and sees only one thing. A line of light. It lances out from orbit. It does not travel through space like a beam. It just appears, cutting clean through the cruiser's hull, decks, shrines, and the warp-tainted hearts of its reactors. For a heartbeat, the ship holds together. Then it comes apart in silence. To the people on Vardos Prime, it looks like a new sun is born in the sky, and then dies at once, leaving only drifting ash. To the Imperial Navy ships in high orbit, it looks like a lance strike far beyond any number in their data slates. To SCP-001, it feels like pain. The cut runs not only through steel, but through rules. He is meant to stand still, to guard one gate and nothing more. Each act far from that place pulls at a chain anchored in another universe. Far away, unseen, the ground around his old post cracks. The gate behind him trembles, alone. He lowers his sword. Codex note. Later Imperial estimates place SCP-001's first orbital strike at above Exterminatus class energy output, though delivered with far finer precision. On the command deck of the Imperial cruiser, Gloria Invictus, alarm scream. Hollow screens blink with static. Data serfs babble prayers as they slap at brass keys. Auspec's towers glow white. The void battle that should have begun has ended before they fired a shot. Admiral Hera Juno grips the rail around the command pit. She is tall, silver-haired, and wrapped in a long navy coat heavy with medals and purity seals. Her augmetic eye clicks as it refocuses. "Report," she says. A junior officer looks up, pale. "Ma'am, the heretic cruiser. It has been destroyed." "By whom?" "We did not fire." Her voice stays calm, but her hand tightens on the rail. "Unknown, Admiral. Auspex picked an energy spike. Not from us. The machine spirits do not have a pattern for it." Another officer, a hunched Logi adept with brass plugs in his skull, whispers a litany to the machine god. "No known lance, no torpedo path, no mass. Just light. It came from high orbit, bearing unknown code sign." Admiral Juno turns to the main picked window. It shows the curve of Vardos Prime below them, hive spires like teeth. At the edge of the image, a small flare of white hangs over the hive. "Zoom and enhance," Juno orders. The picked spirit whines. The view tightens on the hive Helios. It sharpens. It shows the angel. No one speaks. The angel hangs in the heavens above the hive, wings spread, sword lowered. Fire bleeds off its blade like slow rain. Its eyes glow, but the glow is gentle compared to the sun-bright sword. Some crew drop to their knees, murmuring prayers to the Emperor. Others stare with fear. Admiral Juno does neither. She studies the figure, eyes narrow, mind working. She has seen living saints once, years ago, on a shrine world. They burned bright with faith and bled light. This is not quite the same. "Signal the surface," she says. "Tell the planetary governor that a powerful unknown asset just saved his world. And get me the inquisitorial channel. If this is a miracle, the Inquisition will want to claim it. If it is a trap, they will want to burn it." Her officers move. Vox towers crackle. Servo skulls fly. Admiral Juno looks once more at SCP-001, at the perfect stillness of the wings, the way the sword's fire does not spread beyond its edge. "Who are you?" she says softly. "And what do you want with my world?" On the surface, the hive is a storm of noise. Sirens howl. Vox units crackle with orders. Priest voices boom from hive speakers, calling people to prayer and obedience. Workers clutch their tools and fall to their knees. Some try to run, but where can they run inside a city the size of a continent? Lyra stands on a walkway high above the lower decks. She leans on the rail, fingers numb. The angel fills her eyes. The air feels heavy, pressing down. Her lungs work harder, as if the world does not want to let her breathe in this holy glow. Part of her wants to hide. Part of her wants to sing. She is still staring up when the floor shakes under her boots. A deep, slow rumble climbs through the hive bones. Dust drifts down from the ceiling. In the distance, a section of the lower habs coughs smoke. Lyra flinches. She looks down. Far below, deep in the shadow levels, something else is happening. Warp-tainted energy spills out of the sky breach like dark smoke under the angel's light. It seeps into weak places, cracks in reality. It finds the old cult shrines in the underhive, the places where people have prayed to hungry gods in secret. One of those shrines explodes, not with fire, but with bodies. Skin splits, eyes glow. Men, women, and children writhe as horns push through flesh. Hands become claws, mouths grow too wide. Something laughs through 100 throats at once. Demons step through. They are not like the angel. They are wrong shapes stitched together. Too many arms, too many teeth. limbs made of smoke and knives. They howl and rush into the tunnels, eager to climb. Lyra watches small shapes tear out of a hab block 2 levels down. Tiny bodies, twisted at odd angles, scream and rush into the streets. Mutants, someone yells. Demons, shade them. Arbite's officers, the Hive police in bulky black armor, form a firing line. Laser guns snap, red beams cutting into the rushing tide of warped flesh. Some demons fall and burst, dissolving into greasy smoke. Others keep coming, unfazed by holes cauterized in their meat. The Angel sees this too. SCP-001 looks down through miles of ash and smoke. He sees not numbers, not troop symbols, but souls. Each soul is a point of light. Some are bright and clean, some are dim. Some are already dark, swallowed by the warp within them. He weighs them. He hears the quiet law in his mind again. Guard the way, spare the innocent, deny the unworthy. The demons are unworthy. The cultists who chose them are unworthy. The rest are not judged yet. He cannot let the dark tide reach them. He folds his wings once and dives. To the people of Vardos Prime, it looks like the sun falls. He drops through the upper cloud layer, trailing fire. The air screams around him, turning to plasma. He narrows the force of his light, trying not to burn all he passes. Even so, windows explode. Metal softens. Paint blisters from walls as he plunges toward the hive. On the command deck of Gloria Invictus, Admiral Juno grabs the rail again. "Emperor, save us," someone whispers as the screens show the Angel falling. Juno says nothing. She watches where he is going, right into the underhive. The impact does not sound like thunder. It sounds like a bell the size of a mountain. The whole hive rings. Lyra is thrown from her feet. She hits the deck hard, pain flaring in her shoulder. Around her, other workers tumble and slide. She pulls herself up, gripping the rail with broken fingernails, and looks down. A new crater has opened in the underhive. It is a circle of melted metal and rockreet, glowing orange, many levels deep. At its center stands SCP-001. He is taller now, or maybe it is just the way he holds himself. Wings stretch almost to the crater rim. The sword is buried point first in the floor at his feet, fire licking up its length. All around him, demons freeze. They were in mid-charge, claws high, mouths open. Now they halt, shapes flickering. The light from the sword casts long, terrible shadows behind them. SCP, one speaks. The sound is not made by air. It is made in minds. "Stop," the voice says. It is calm and heavy. It is not a request. Every living being within the hive hears it. Lyra hears the word in High Gothic, the holy tongue she has never learned. She understands it. An Arbite's officer hears it in his own rough street speech. A demon hears it in a twisting warp howl. For some, the word is command. The demons feel weight slam into them. It is not chains on their bodies, but chains on their existence. The laws that bind them to the warp tighten, becoming iron bars. Half of them shred on the spot, the universe refusing them. They vanish with screams. The others, those made from stronger hatred and deeper pacts, fight the force. They stagger. They push against invisible bars, mouths wide. One takes a step forward. Its skin is made of flayed faces. It drips blood that burns the floor. It roars at the Angel. "You are not of our war," it shrieks. "You are not of this galaxy. You have no right." The sword moves. SCP-01 pulls the blade from the ground in a slow, simple swing. Fire follows. It sweeps through the front rank of demons like a clean cut through rotten rope. There is no blood, no spray. Things simply unmake, erasing from tip of horn to tail. The wave of light keeps going, but weakens. It fades before it hits the nearest human firing line. Helmets glow, visors darken, but no flesh burns. The demons break. Those that can flee, run. They claw at the walls, tear open small warp fractures, and vanish back into the Imperium. A few try to charge the angel. They hit the edge of his glow and fall apart, shredded by rules they cannot see. The battle in the crater is over in seconds. The battle in SCP-001 is not. He feels the pull again, much stronger, this time. His act against so many warp-born things is far from his first gate. The chain that ties him to that place goes tight. The echo of his sword strike runs back along it, hitting the gate like a hammer hit. Far away, stone splits. Reality mutters. A hairline crack appears where no crack should be. SCP-001 grimaces. He has no face like a man, but his light flickers. Wings droop a little. For the first time in an age, he feels something like fatigue. Mortals around him fall to their knees. "Praise the Emperor," someone cries. "He sent his angel." "Saint," others shout. "Living saint." Lyra kneels too. She does not know why. She just feels she must. Above, in the hab levels, more people drop. Arbites draw purity seals and press them to their armor. Gangers forget their knives and bow. Priests weep, their loud voices gone small. Not everyone prays. In a small chapel near the hive's command spire, a man in a dark coat watches a flickering hollow screen. The angel holds the crater like a burning statue. The man's coat is plain, but his rosette is not. It is a small, ornate badge, a symbol of the Inquisition. The Inquisition is the secret police of the Imperium, guardians of faith and hunters of heresy. This man is one of them. Inquisitor Caldus Varro is not weeping. His eyes are sharp. His jaw is tight. A scar runs down one cheek from a fight with a cultist years ago. He has seen saints and demons and things with no name. He knows one truth. Anything that powerful is a threat, even if it just saved his world. He turns to a Vox officer. "Get me a gunship and a secure line to the Gloria Invictus. I want Admiral Juno at our meeting." "Yes, my lord," the officer says, voice shaking. Varro looks back at the screen. "Whatever you are," he murmurs to the angel, "we will judge you." Minutes later, the air over the crater roars again. A Valkyrie gunship drops through the smoke, engines howling. It is a sleek, brutal craft, all wings and guns painted grey and green with the symbols of the Imperial Guard. Heavy bolters hang from its sides. Inside, Admiral Juno stands beside Inquisitor Varro. They sway with the pitch of the Valkyrie, hands holding onto straps. Around them, stormtroopers in carapace armor, elite soldiers, check their weapons. Juno glances at Varro. "The Navy thanks our unknown savior," she says. "The governor thanks him. The guard thanks him. Do you?" Varro's mouth twitches. "The Emperor alone is owed thanks, Admiral, not unexplained phenomena." "You think this is unexplained?" She nods toward the front, where a narrow view screen shows a flash of light growing larger. "I think," Varro says, "that anything that appears from a tear in the sky, destroys a Chaos Cruiser with one strike, and walks into the Underhive unharmed is either a divine miracle or a trap from the warp. My duty is to decide which, and if it is the latter, to destroy it." Juno studies him. "You've seen daemons," she says. "Too many. Do they look like that?" He hesitates. In the screen, the angel stands, sword point resting on the ground, wings half folded. He is still, but his presence fills the crater. Demon ash flickers away in his glow. "No," Varro says at last. "They do not look like that." "Then maybe," Juno says, "we are allowed to hope." Varro does not answer. He watches as the Valkyrie approaches the crater rim. The pilot's hands shake on the controls. "Set us down," Varro orders. Stormtroopers front and center. Weapons hot but unsafe. If it moves at us, I want you ready, but do not fire unless I give the word. Is that clear? A chorus of "Yes, Lord Inquisitor" fills the cabin. Juno straightens her coat. She takes a breath. "If this is a true angel," she says quietly, "we may be walking into the presence of the Emperor's will." "If so," Varro says, "he will not object to questions." The Valkyrie dips and lands on a patch of warped rockcrete near the crater's edge. Its ramps slam down. Hot air rushes in, heavy with ozone and burnt metal. The light from SCP-001 spills into the cabin, bright even through tinted visors. Stormtroopers move first. They step out in perfect lines, boots thudding, rifles up. They spread in a semicircle along the rim, forming a wall of armor and gun barrels between the Angel and their leaders. Juno and Varro step out behind them. The heat hits them. Sweat beads on Juno's forehead. The rosette at Varro's chest warms. The purity seals on his coat curling at the edges. They walk to the very edge and look down. The Angel turns his head. His eyes are not eyes. They are wells of soft light, not harsh. When they look at Juno and Varro, both feel like someone is reading everything they have ever done in a second. Juno stands straight. She has faced enemy ships and mutinous captains. She will not flinch now. Varro's fingers brush the butt of his bolt pistol, a heavy weapon that fires explosive shells. He does not draw it, but he knows how fast he can. The Angel speaks. "Your world is under attack," SCP-001 says. "It is not yet lost." The voice is in their minds again. This time it is gentler. It is like a judge making a statement, not a threat. Juno swallows. "We saw your strike from orbit," she said. "You saved Vardos Prime. For that you have my thanks, as Admiral of the fleet in this system." Varro's eyes flick to her, then back to the Angel. "You call this world yours," he says. "By what authority?" "By the authority of duty," Juno replies. "And you, Inquisitor?" "By the authority of the holy orders of the Inquisition," Varro says. He lifts his rosette. "I am called as Varro, witch hunter, demon slayer, judge of heresy. This planet's soul is also my charge." The Angel watches them both. "I am called many things," SCP-001 says. "Here now, I will use the name your enemies gave me in another tongue. I am SCP-001. I am the guardian of the gate." "The gate?" Juno repeats. "A wound in reality," SCP-001 says. "A path between your kind and a place you call paradise. I was made to stand before it, to judge who may pass and who must be turned away." Varro stiffens. "You claim to guard a path to a holy place?" he asks. His voice drops sharp. "Do you claim to stand before the Emperor's own realm?" "No," SCP-001 says. "Not your Emperor. Another. A different maker, in a different age." His wings twitch. For a second, his light dims. "I left my post," he says, "to come here." Varro's hand tightens on his pistol. "Why?" "Because this galaxy burns," SCP-001 says. "In the far future paths I saw, its fire grows so vast that it touches everything. It will reach even the place I guard. It will break the gate from the wrong side, and all that is meant to be closed will spill out." He looks down at the demon ash at his feet. "The storm you call the warp is a wound you refuse to close," he says. "I have come to keep it from growing further. I have come to guard this way too." Juno's heart beats faster. "You saw our future?" she asks. "You saw the Imperium?" "I saw souls," SCP-001 says, and screams, and a golden light on a dead world trying to hold back a tide alone. Varro's eyes narrow. "Terra," he says, "the Golden Throne." The angel does not answer, but his silence is telling. Varro looks up at him, jaw set. You expect us to believe that you broke from your own maker, your own duty, to help us. Why? SCP-1 is quiet for a long beat. When he speaks, it is almost soft. Because no one can hold a gate alone forever, he says. Not even a god emperor, not even me. His sword glows brighter for a moment, then dims. And because if your storm breaks into the place I guard, he adds, everyone, everywhere will suffer. My law is simple. Guard the way, spare the innocent, deny the unworthy. I have judged that helping you now follows that law. Juno is the first to respond. Then we will take your help, she says. With gratitude. Our enemies are many. Chaos fleets, Xenos hordes, traitor legions. If you stand with us, we can save billions. Varro's head snaps toward her. You would trust a being that admits to abandoning its own primary duty, he asks. How do you know it will not abandon us when it decides we are a risk to whatever it truly guards? Juno meets his gaze. How many of your own inquisitors have abandoned worlds in the name of a wider duty? She asks quietly. How many times have you ordered a city burned to save a sector? Varro's mouth becomes a hard line. Do not twist scripture, Admiral, he says. I am not twisting, she says. I am comparing. Duty is often ugly. If this being's duty now includes us, we cannot ignore that. SCP-001 watches them. The two of you share one thing, he says. You both think you must decide who lives and who dies for the sake of many. You do it with fleets and fire and laws. His eyes burn a little brighter. I do it with a sword. Varro looks back at the angel. If you stay here, he says slowly, you will draw attention. The warp will notice you. The dark gods will notice you. They will send things you have not yet seen. We will be pulled into battles beyond our current war. Our doctrine forbids alliances with unknowns of your nature. It also forbids ignoring a miracle when the Emperor might be at work, Juno says. Varro's nostrils flare. He hates that she is right. Doctrine is not a simple book. It is a web of rules and stories and exceptions. SCP-001 lifts his sword. I cannot promise I will not draw enemies, he says. Where I stand, things come. That is what a gate is, a point where paths meet. He looks down at the hive again, at Lyra, still kneeling, fingers white on the rail. But I will stand between those enemies and those who cannot stand for themselves, he says. That is what I am. I will not leave until this world is safe, or I am unmade. Juno breathes out. That is all any of us can swear, she says. Inquisitor Varro, I propose we accept this being as a provisional ally, under watch, with tests, with limits, but an ally. Varro's eyes slide from her to the angel. If I find one hint of corruption, he says to SCP-001, one whisper that you serve the ruinous powers, I will burn this hive to the bedrock to kill you. Do you understand? Yes, SCP-001 says. If I fall, I must be denied. Even I know that. Varro blinks. He had not expected agreement. Very well, he says. For now, I will watch and judge. And I will command, Juno says. She turns to the stormtroopers. Get me a Voxling to the sector command. Tell them we have a new asset, coded as Angelic Anomaly, designation Helios-001. Helios, Varro asks. Hive Helios, she says. Where it chose to stand. He snorts. You Navy types and your naming. Up to now, an unknown angelic being has arrived, saved a world from a chaos ship and demon incursion, and met the leaders of that world, who are split between gratitude and suspicion. The pause does not last. A Vox operator in the Valkyrie, still standing by the ramp, raises a hand. Admiral, Lord Inquisitor, she calls. Priority signal from orbit. It's marked extreme urgency. Juno nods. Patch it through. A hollow projector at the edge of the crater flickers to life. The small, blue-tinged image of a Navy officer appears, his face slick with sweat. "Admiral Juno, ma'am," he says. "New warp signatures at the edge of the system. Multiple contacts. We read at least one capital ship. Pattern. Pattern matches known Chaos Warband, the Iron Seraphim." Varro's head snaps up. "The Iron Seraphim," he says. Juno's gut tightens. She knows the name. The Iron Seraphim are a warband of traitor Astartes, former space marines who turned to chaos. They are armored giants, living weapons in corrupted power armor, guided by a false angel motif. They love to corrupt holy symbols, to twist faith. They must have felt the death of their vanguard cruiser, Varro says, and they brought more. The hollow officer swallows. "There's more, ma'am. Our astropaths report psychic pressure. The warband brings a dark apostle. Warp activity is rising. They may attempt a ritual-scale incursion. SCP-001 listens. He does not know all the names, but he knows the patterns. When you strike a first blow, greater enemies come. That is how storms work." "How long until they reach orbit?" Juno asks. "Hours at most, ma'am," the officer says. "And one more thing. Auspex caught a shape between them. Something like a tear. It is stable, traveling with the fleet. We have no match." Varro's skin crawls. A tear in reality, brought like a weapon. "They bring their own gate," he says softly. SCP-001's wings twitch. "A rival gate," he says. "An opening they can widen. If they bind it to the wound above this world, they can pull much through." Lyra, still listening somehow, even from far above, does not understand the words, but she hears the tone. It is the tone her foreman used when a pressure valve started to scream. "Bad news." Juno looks at the angel. "Can you stop them?" she asks. There is no politeness now, just the direct question of a commander who knows the odds. "Yes," SCP-01 says. Then, after a pause, "Maybe." Varro's eyes narrow. "Maybe." "If I cut their gate," SCP-001 says, "I will have to use more of my nature, more than I used to strike their first ship. The chain to my old post will strain. The gate I left will crack further. The risk grows." He does not speak of the pain. He does not need to. Varro latches onto the word. "Your duty is split," he says. "Every act here weakens the safety of your own realm." "Yes," SCP-001 says simply. Juno's jaw clenches. "If we do nothing," she says, "the Iron Seraphim hit orbit, punch their tear into our sky, and drown Vardos Prime in demons. Billions die. The sector may fall. If you act, your old gate is at risk. If you do not, this galaxy bleeds." SCP-001 looks at her. "That is the choice," he says. He turns his head, and for a second, his gaze goes far beyond the hive, beyond the planet, beyond the star. He sees the gate again, lonely under a cold sky, a crack creeping along its arch. He has stood there for ages. He has turned away gods and monsters, men and saints. He has followed his law. Guard the way. Spare the innocent. Deny the unworthy. Here now, the words feel heavier. He looks down at Lyra, and at the millions like her he can sense. He looks up at the hollow of the Chaos Fleet, with its false angels and stolen faith. He does not think for long. "I will cut their gate," he says. "I will stand in their path." Varro opens his mouth to speak, to warn again, to weigh cost. Juno cuts him off. "Then we will stand with you," she says. "The Navy will form a screen. The guard will hold the hive. You strike their heart." Varro scowls. "Admiral, you forget our doctrine. We must..." "Our doctrine also says We must protect the Imperium citizens from the enemies of man, Juno snaps. Her patience has limits. We have a tool. We use it. Varro turns to SCP-001. If you break your own gate, he says, what happens to your realm, to the place you guard? SCP-001 is silent. At last, he says, if it shatters, what was kept in may spill out, or what was kept out may flood in. There will be more screams, in places you do not know. And you will cause that, Varro presses, by choosing us over your first duty. SCP-001's light flickers. Do not speak as if I have not waited, he says. For the first time, there is a hint of anger. Every act of mercy is a risk. Every defense is a choice between walls. I am not a machine. I judge. That is what I am. Varro stares up at him. Then slowly, he nods. Good, he says, because the Emperor is not a machine either. He also judged once. He chose us, and this Imperium, over other options. Now we all live in the shadow of that choice. If you wish to be our ally, you must understand that weight. SCP-001 inclines his head. I do, he says. Juno steps in. Then here is our plan, she says. Her voice firms, taking command like putting on an old coat. Inquisitor Varro, you will coordinate ground defenses, root out any cult cells the First Fleet left behind. If the Iron Seraphim try to trigger their ritual from the surface, we must stop them. Varro nods once. He's back in his own battlefield. Shadows and whispers, knives in dark corners. And you, he asks. I will take the Gloria Invictus and the rest of the System Defense Fleet, Juno says. We will meet the Iron Seraphim at the edge of the gravity well. We cannot stop them alone, but we can bleed them. Draw them into the right position. She looks up at SCP-001. And you will be the hammer, she says. When they open their tear, you cut it. You kill their dark apostle if you can. You deny their gods their prize. SCP listens. It will hurt, he says. We all hurt, Juno replies. That is war. Lyra listens from far above, not understanding the details but hearing the tone. The grown-ups are making plans. They are scared, but they are still moving. That means there is still hope. Varro looks at the angel one last time. I will send astropathic warnings after this, he says. Other Inquisitors will want to know. Some will see you as a weapon, some as a threat. Some will want to cage you. Be ready. SCP-001's wings rustle. I've been caged longer than you can imagine, he says. If your kind try to chain me, I will judge them as I judge all. Varro almost smiles. Almost. Welcome to the Imperium of Man, he says dryly. You will fit right in. The Valkyrie lifts away, carrying Juno and Varro back to their roles. SCP-001 stands alone in the crater, surrounded by the broken echoes of a demon assault. Around the rim, guardsmen and workers still watch, small and fragile in his sight. He opens his wings. The light that runs along their feathers changes. It becomes lines of glyphs, small burning shapes, patterns from another universe. Each carries a command, a ward, a promise. He beats his wings once. The light ripples out over the hive, sinking into walls and streets, etching unseen marks into stone and steel. To mortal eyes, nothing changes. To the warp, new rules settle like chains. Sleep, he tells the wound in the sky above the hive. Stay small, do not widen. For now, it listens. In the void, the Iron Seraphim fleet burns toward Vardos Prime. The warband's flagship, the blasphemous choir, leads. Its hull is carved with angel faces, mouths nailed shut. Its prow is a twisted statue of a winged warrior, broken halo over its head. Behind it, like a dragged trophy, a tear in space hangs. The tear looks like a flickering mirror, showing glimpses of screaming planets and burning churches. Chains of warp lightning hold it in place. Around it, demon shapes whirl hungry. On the flagship's bridge, a giant in black and bone armor stands before a stained glass window that looks into the warp. He is tall, even for an Astartes. His wings are made of metal and flesh, bolted to his power armor. A mask shaped like a weeping angel hides his face. He is Seraph Kuldrask, Lord of the Iron Seraphim. Beside him, a robed figure chants. This one is not in armor, but his body is covered in scars that form words. His eyes are pits of burning red. He is a dark apostle, a priest of chaos. He whispers into the warp tear, feeding it faith. "My lord," a deck officer says, voice trembling, "our Vanguard cruiser is gone, destroyed." "I know," Kuldrask says. His voice is calm and cruel. "I felt its death in the warp. It was not the Imperials," the officer says. Their ships had not yet engaged. Kuldrask's metal wings twitch. "Then who dared?" he asks. The Dark Apostle smiles. "A new light," he says. "Something that feels like the false god on Terra, and yet is not. An alien angel. A rival." Kuldrask laughs softly. "Good," he says. "We will break it, and we will nail its wings to the prow of our ship as a message to the corpse on the throne." He looks at the tier. "Prepare the rite of opening," he orders. "When we reach the planet, we will bind our gate to the wound already there. We will flood this world with blessed fury, and we will see whose angel is stronger." Back on Vardos Prime, the hive prepares. Sirens keep screaming, but now they are organized. Vox voices crackle with orders. Regiments of the Astra Militarum, the Imperial Guard, march into position. They are human soldiers in flak armor, carrying laser guns and heavy weapons. Artillery is hauled onto platforms. Hydra anti-air guns swivel upward. Chimera transports grind through streets. Priests walk among the ranks, swinging censers. Smoke of holy incense mixes with the stink of oil and sweat. They shout prayers, promising the Emperor's gaze. Lyra watches them pass. Her shoulder still hurts. Her nails are cracked. She is tired and scared, but she has work now. The local overseer grabbed her and 100 others, put shovels and toolkits in their hands, and pointed them toward the lower levels. "Reinforce bulkheads," he barked. "Clear rubble. Make sure the guard has clear lines. Move." So she moves. As she clears broken metal from a stairwell, she looks up once more at the sky scar above the hive. It is smaller now, its edges smoother. She does not know why. She only knows the angel did something. "He came to help," she mutters to herself. "He came to help us." In the crater, SCP-001 feels the world's preparations like ripples. He senses marching hearts, spreading fear, rising courage. He senses the warp around Vardos Prime stir as the Iron Seraphim come close. He knows he must go to the void. He closes his eyes, and for a moment, he tries to reach back to his first gate. He finds it. It is there, alone and cracking. Shapes press against it from the other side. Some beg, some curse. Some simply pound, wanting out. "I will return," he whispers. "Hold." He does not know if the gate hears. He opens his wings. The sword rises again. This time when he cuts, he does not aim at a ship. He aims at the thin skin between the hive and the void. He draws a straight, clean line. Reality parts. Through the cut, he sees stars. He steps. The hole closes behind him as he moves, leaving only a small shimmer over hive Helios. In the command deck of the Gloria Invictus, alarms flare again. "Admiral," a sensor officer cries. "New contact, right on top of us." Juno snaps her head up. On the main picked window, between her ship and the oncoming Chaos Fleet, a flare of light blossoms. It shapes itself into wings and a sword. SCP-001 stands in the void without ship or suit. His wings do not flap, but light spills from them, pushing back darkness. He looks very small between the fleets, very alone. Juno feels a strange thing. She feels hope. "Signal all ships," she says. "Form on the Angel. Tight wedge. We go with him." Her helmsmen move. Thrusters fire. The Gloria Invictus and her sister ship swing into position behind SCP-001, their prows pointed toward the Iron Seraphim. Varro watches through a holofeed in his command bunker on the surface. "Emperor guide you," he whispers. Words for both the Navy and the strange ally that leads them. SCP-1 watches the Iron Seraphim approach. He feels their teargate like a sawtooth. It is a wrong hole in reality, built on worship of suffering. It calls to him, not as a friend, but as an insult. He lifts his sword. He has left one gate to protect another. Now the first true test of that choice rushes toward him, wrapped in iron and hate. The battle for Vardos Prime and for his own law is about to begin. The first shot is not his. Macro cannons on the Gloria Invictus fire, huge guns that throw metal the size of buildings. Bright streaks cross the void. Other Imperial cruisers join in. Lances stab out, straight beams of blue and white that try to drill into Chaos hulls. The Iron Seraphim answer. Their ships vomit warp fire. Torpedoes with screaming faces on their tips streak forward. Their guns roar. In the middle of their line, the drag tear in space flares, demon shapes pressing against its chains. SCP-001 stands between the fleets. There is no air, no sound, but he feels the pressure of weapons like wind. He moves. He does not fly. He chooses a direction, and light obeys. Wings tilt, sword lifts. He steps across empty space as if it were solid. Torpedoes streak toward the Imperial wedge. He raises his free hand. "Denied," he says. The torpedoes flicker. For a heartbeat, they exist in two states. In one, they rush forward. In the other, they never left their tubes. His will chooses. The versions that launched go dark, becoming cold shells that drift. On the blasphemous choir, angry crew scream as their weapons fail. Kuldrask's metal wings twitch. "What is this?" he snarls. "Who dares deny the will of the Dark Gods?" The Dark Apostle beside him feels it too. He licks cracked lips. "A gate spirit," he whispers. "Something old. Something that thinks it has the right to say who goes where." Kuldrask laughs. "Then we will prove it wrong." The fleets close. Imperial lances burn into a Chaos escort ship. Armor boils. A reactor goes. The ship spins away, broken. A cheer goes up on the Gloria Invictus bridge. It dies as a counter-lance slams into a smaller Imperial frigate. The beam cuts through its spine. The ship blossoms into fire and shards. On the bridge, Admiral Juno flinches. "Get those escorts in line," she snaps. "Bring the Hammer of Faith up to cover our starboard side. Keep the wedge tight. We ride the Angel's wake." Her helm officer nods, hands moving fast. She looks at the main-picked window. SCP-001 is a point of light at the tip of their formation. His sword burns longer now, the blade stretching far ahead. He slices through incoming fire, not by hitting the shots, but by cutting the path they would take. Shots meant for the Gloria Invictus vanish into thin lines of white and fade. Juno's augmetic eye tracks damage numbers. They are still high, too high. They cannot stop every hit. Some ships burn, some die. SCP-001 feels each loss like a small weight. He sees souls wink out, small lights dimming. He cannot reach all of them. The scale is too great. War is too wide. He makes himself accept it. Guard the way, spare the innocent, deny the unworthy. He cannot spare everyone. He can spare enough. The Iron Seraphim keep coming. Their flagship drags the tear gate closer, like a chained storm. The tear howls in the warp. Demon claws scratch at its edges. The Dark Apostle lifts his arms. "Now," he cries, voice echoing in both ship and warp. "Rite of opening first verse. Bind our holy wound to theirs. Let the sky above the hive split wider, and let the blood fall." Warp energy twists. The tear in space begins to lean, like a hole trying to line up with another hole. It reaches toward Vardos Prime. SCP-001 feels it. He has spent ages watching gates. He knows how they pull and twist. This one wants to mate with the wound over Hive Helios, to make a single, huge opening. If that happens, no sword strike will be clean. Any cut will spill onto the world. He acts first. He reverses his grip on his sword. The blade points down, then up again, as he draws a wide circle in the void. Blue-white light trails from the tip. The circle hangs in front of him, thin and perfect. He steps back through it. There is no place on the other side. There is a rule. The circle is not a door. It is a law. It says, paths between these two wounds must twist. The tear the Iron Seraphim drag reaches for the wound over Vardos Prime. As it touches, the law changes its path. The two gates do not link directly. Instead, a third curve forms. The warp is bent like a river forced around a new rock. The Iron Seraphim's gate links to a point far above, away from the hive and the world. Demons pour out into empty void. They howl as there is nothing to kill. No ground, no air, only cold. SCP-001 slashes once more. The demons that have just emerged find their paths cut. They are forced back into the whirlpool they came from. The tear shrinks a little, screaming. On the blasphemous choir, the Dark Apostle staggers. "Our link is diverted," he gasps. He has written a rule over ours. He changes the path between wounds. Kuldrask snarls. "Then focus on him," he says. "You are a priest, not just a butcher. Find a way to unwrite his rule." The Dark Apostle nods, eyes burning. He turns his focus from the tear to the angel that has dared to tell the warp what to do. The Imperial fleet presses the advantage. With the demonic flood slowed, the Chaos ships lose their edge. Their guns still roar, but their planned storm is off balance. They must fight like mortals, not gods. Admiral Juno sees the shift. "Forward shields full," she orders. "All lances, focus on their smaller escorts first. Cripple their flanks. Leave their flagship to the Angel." Her ships obey. 2 Chaos frigates die under a storm of lance fire. A third tries to run, engines blazing. An Imperial destroyer, the St. Lucian, rams it rather than let it escape. Both ships break apart, drifting wrecks. SCP-001 does not tell them to stop. He cannot. He chose to leave his first gate for this war. These are the costs. Brave crews dying in cold dark so that billions below can live. He flares his wings. Lines of light extend from them, touching the hulls of the nearest Imperial ships. Their void shields strengthen. For a short time, their shields drink fire that would have burned through. Their crews feel a strange calm in their minds. Juno feels it too. Her heart rate steadies. Her hand on the rail relaxes just enough. "Thank you," she whispers, to no one in particular. Her Vox officers stare at glowing runes on their panels. Void shield capacity up by Emperor's Grace, 30%, one breathes. This is not possible. Not by any tech we know. "Do not argue with miracles," Juno says. "Use them." They do. The Imperial wedge closes the distance. Now macro cannons do real work. Shells punch into Chaos hulls. Air, bodies and debris vent into space. Fires spread along twisted decks. One Iron Seraphim cruiser breaks in half. Another loses all power and drifts, guns dead. The warp tear tries to widen again, but SCP-001 holds his circle law firm. Every time it leans toward the world, the rule forces it to skip, to miss, to link to empty coordinates. It is like watching someone trying to plug a cable into a port that keeps moving. Kuldras growls. "He toys with us," he says. "Enough." He spreads his metal wings. "Signal the choir of silent entry," he orders. "Tell them to begin their hymn, and prepare boarding torpedoes. If we cannot force our gate to his world, we will take his presence onto our decks." The first phase of the battle ends with a roar of triumph on Imperial Vox. The smaller Chaos ships are broken or fleeing. The warp tear is held at bay, twisted out of alignment with Vardos Prime. The Iron Seraphim flagship still burns forward, but it is alone with a handful of heavy escorts. On the Gloria Invictus, crew cheer. Vox officers laugh and cry. Some fall to their knees to thank the Emperor. Admiral Juno lets them. They earned this breath. Then she raises a hand. "Enough," she says. "We are not done. Status report." The mood snaps back to work. "Shields at 50%, someone calls. Port macro batteries 2 and 4 offline. We've lost 3 escorts. The St. Lucian rammed and destroyed 1 enemy cruiser, but was lost with all hands." "Understood," Juno says. The loss hurts, but she files it inside. "Enemy flagship. Still coming," the Logi Adept says. "Its escorts are damaged but operational. Their dragged warp anomaly remains active but restrained. The law field the Angel Maid is holding, but there are fluctuations." Juno looks at the picked window. SCP-001 hangs ahead, light dimmer now. His wings droop slightly. Holding a rule in place against the warp is work, even for him. He feels the pull on his chain. His law is meant for 1 gate. He has stretched it across 2. Every heartbeat makes the crack at his abandoned post wider. He forces himself not to look back. He cannot fix that now. He can only choose how to spend the strain. He chooses to keep the tear from the world, guard the way, spare the innocent, deny the unworthy. He will keep saying that, even as it starts to hurt. Up to now, the first clash in space has ended in a hard-won advantage. The enemy gate is pushed away from Vardos Prime. Chaos escorts lie in ruins, and the new Angel has proven he can rewrite the paths of the warp at a cost that grows. The war does not pause. It just shifts to words. A short time later, SCP-001 stands again in a room with air. The strategium of the Gloria Invictus is an oval chamber with a high ceiling. Hollow projectors show a spinning image of the system, marked with icons. Servo skulls drift overhead, recording. Admiral Juno stands at the central table. Her coat is undone at the neck, sweat and strain clear on her face. Inquisitor Varro appears as a hollow image beside her, projected from his bunker on Vardos Prime. A third figure has joined them. He is huge, taller than any normal man, clad in blue and gold power armor. A winged skull is on his chest. A white cloak hangs from his shoulders. His face is lined but strong. His eyes are calm. A chainsword hangs at his hip. He is Captain Marius of the Azure Blades, a chapter of the Adeptus Astartes, the Space Marines. Space Marines are superhuman warriors, made and trained to be living weapons of the Emperor. Juno had almost wept with relief when his strike cruiser dropped out of warp in time to join the battle. Now he stands with arms folded, looking up at SCP-001. The Angel's head is bowed to fit under the ceiling. His wings are folded tight. Even so, he fills half the room with glow. Juno clicks a control. The hollow display shifts. It shows the Chaos flagship and its remaining escorts. It shows the twisted warp tear, still chained behind them. Lines mark the law circle SCP-001 drew. We have them pinned for the moment, Juno says. Your intervention turned their main weapon into a liability. Without a direct path to the wound above the hive, their ritual cannot complete. Then we press the attack, Captain Marius says. His voice is deep and certain. My brothers are ready. We will launch boarding torpedoes, cut our way to their dark apostle, and sever his tongue. Varro's hollow flickers, then sharpens. You assume we should take the fight to them, he says. But every second of this battle, the warp tears open small mouths elsewhere. Already my acolytes report new cult activity in the hive. The Iron Seraphim do not need a full ritual to do harm. They just need time. Juno lifts a brow. What do you suggest, Inquisitor? A quick end, Varro says. We pull back our ships to a safe distance. We order exterminatus. His voice is cold and flat. We destroy Vardos Prime. We end the ritual and the cult in fire. The Iron Seraphim get no prize but ashes. Silence hits the room like a blow. Juno stares. Captain Marius's hand tightens on his sword hilt. SCP-001's light shifts. You would kill billions, the angel says, voice low. Varro does not look away. I have signed such orders before, he says. One world burns so that 10 might live. That is the math of the Imperium. Vardos Prime is not a shrine world. It is a hive with standard output. Its loss is acceptable compared to a system-wide warp breach. Juno slams a hand on the table. These are my people, she says. I will not glass them while there is still a chance to save them. Varro's eyes flash. You are sentimental, Admiral. That is not always a sin, but it can become one if it blinds you to the greater threat. Captain Marius speaks. Enough, he says. His voice cuts through their rising anger. We are not enemies here. We all want the same thing. The Emperor's realm protected. Varro snorts. Do we? The angel has his own realm. He has already admitted he risks it for ours. Admirals think of duty to their crews. Inquisitors think of duty to the species. Angels think of... what, exactly? SCP-001 answers. I think of doors, he says. They look at him. I think of what comes through them and who stands in front of them, he says. You speak of numbers. I speak of faces. Some are clear to me, some not. I chose to come here because I saw too many doors opened with no one strong enough to hold them shut. Varro folds his arms. And if the only way to stop this enemy is to close a door with a world on the wrong side, he asks, do you have the will to do what we sometimes must? SCP-001 does not answer at once. He remembers the St. Lucian ramming and dying. He remembers demons cut down, some made from souls that might once have been innocent. He remembers the crack in his own gate. I can destroy a world, he says at last, if I must. I have before. Juno shivers. Varro watches him. But, SCP-001 adds, I do not start there. I start with the smallest cut that will work. I am precise. You burn whole cities to kill a few cultists. I cut only the cult, if I can see them. If you can see them is the key, Varro says. You admit a limit. Your sight is not perfect. The warp hides many things. SCP-001 nods once. True, he says, but I see more than you, and I do not wish to use your methods unless there is no other choice. Juno seizes the opening. Then the course is clear, she says. We fight. We use the angel's precision and our firepower. We ruin the Iron Seraphim here now, and we keep Vardos Prime alive. Exterminatus remains our last resort, not our first tool. Varro looks between them. He sees the determination in Juno's eyes. He sees Captain Marius's quiet support. He sees the angel's heavy gaze. He exhales slowly. "Very well," he says. "We fight, but I want contingencies. I will arm the Exterminatus warheads on your reserve cruiser, Admiral. If this battle turns, if the ritual nears completion, I will push for their use." Juno grimaces. "I will not like it," she says, "but I will agree to arm them, not to fire them." "For now," Varro says. SCP-1 speaks again. "If you must close a door with fire," he says, "I will help you aim it. I will try to guide it so that those most steeped in the warp burn first and hardest. It is not mercy, but it is less cruelty." Varro tilts his head. "You care about lives," he says, "but you also accept that war is not kind. That is closer to our thinking than I expected." "My law is not save all," SCP-001 says. "It is spare the innocent. Innocence and survival are not the same thing. If one must fall, I choose the thing that keeps more doors guarded." Captain Marius nods slowly. "That sounds like duty," he says, "the kind we know." The Council's decision is made. Attack plans spread through the fleet. Boarding torpedoes are prepared. Space Marine strike cruisers alter course to join the wedge. On the planet, Inquisitor Varro sends kill teams into the Underhive to hunt cult leaders who might act as anchors for any smaller rituals. Lyra hears some of it on broken vox. The words are big and strange. Boarding torpedoes, Astartes, Exterminatus. She does not understand all, but she understands this. People above are fighting for people below. She works harder. She and other workers clear rubble, reinforce walls, set up makeshift field hospitals in old hab blocks. Guard Medicae, the frontline doctors, bring in wounded from the earlier demon attack. Some are normal wounds, claws, lash burns, some are not. A child lies on a cot, eyes too wide, veins dark under the skin. When he looks at the ceiling, a faint red shimmer appears there, like a mirror to somewhere else. A Medicae curses softly. "Warp touch," she mutters. "Might be nothing. Might be a portal seed." She looks at the tiny face. If doctrine is followed, the child should be killed. A bullet to the head. Better a clean death than a demon bursting out of him later. Her hand shakes on the gun. Lyra watches. She thinks of the angel who weighed souls with a word. "Wait," Lyra says. The Medicae glares. "This is not your place, worker." Lyra swallows, but does not move away. "What if he can help?" "The angel," the Medicae asks. "You think he will come to every cot? There are millions like this in a war." "I don't know," Lyra says. "But I saw what he did to the demons. He knows things. Maybe he can see inside. Maybe he can tell if this one is safe. Or a ticking bomb," the Medicae says. Her finger tightens. The air shifts. Light spills into the cramped room. Everyone looks up. SCP-001 stands in the doorway. His wings are drawn in tight to fit. His glow makes the dingy walls look clean. He looks tired. The light around him is not as fierce as before, but his eyes are clear. Lyra drops to one knee without thinking. The Medicae almost shoots him on reflex, then lowers her weapon, face white. "How did you—" she starts. "You called," SCP-001 says. He looks at Lyra. "I did," she says, small. "You wanted me," he says. "Want is a kind of call." He steps closer to the cot. The child's eyes roll. A red shimmer crawls along the ceiling, reaching for the angel's light and shrinking back. SCP-001 looks down at the boy. He does not see blood and skin. He sees the soul. It is small and tangled, marked by the warp, but not yet claimed. The corruption is like ink in clear water. It can spread. It can also, if cut right, be removed. He hears the Medicae's thoughts. Kill or risk. Doctrine or mercy. Save one or protect many. He looks at her. You are about to spare many, he says, by killing one who might be innocent. She nods, eyes wet. I don't want to, she whispers, but that is the rule. Rules are doors too, SCP-001 says. Some we pass through, some we close. He touches the child's forehead with a finger. The light at his fingertip is very small. It is just enough to reach into the soul, to touch the dark ink, not the whole water. He pinches. The child screams once, a short sound. A thin red line rises from his mouth, twisting. It is a tiny demon seed, a half-formed thing. It writhes, trying to take shape. SCP-001 squeezes. The seed pops into ash. The red shimmer on the ceiling goes out. The child goes limp, then breathes easier. His veins lighten. His eyes close in normal sleep. Everyone in the room stares. Lyra covers her mouth. Tears spill down her cheeks. The Medicae's gun hand is shaking for a new reason now. You pulled it out, she says, without killing him. Yes, SCP-001 says. How many times can you do that? She asks. How many can you save like this? He looks past the walls. He feels the warp-stained souls across the hive. There are many. Some can be cut clean. Some are too far gone. Some hide behind layers he cannot see clearly. Not all, he says. Not enough, but some. More than none. Is it worth the time? A new voice asks. Inquisitor Varro stands in the doorway now. He must have arrived right behind the angel, drawn by the same strange sense. His rosette glints on his chest. You could spend the entire coming battle going cot to cot, Varro says. You might save 100, 1,000. Meanwhile, a ritual you could stop in one strike kills 1 billion. Is this how you spend your strength? He's not cruel. His voice is not mocking. He's truly asking. SCP-001 straightens. War is not only numbers, he says. It is when you're responsible for an entire species, Varro replies. You talk of doors. I talk of a hallway with 10,000 doors, all under attack. You can stand in front of only a few. Every time you step to help one, you leave another, open. He gestures toward the boy. That child may grow up to be a good man, he says. Or he may not. You do not know. Meanwhile, while you are here, the enemy fleet is moving. Their priests sing. Their tear strains against your law circle. Are you sure this was the best use of your power? SCP-001 looks down at his hand. He feels the tiny effort he just made. In the scale of his being, it is small. But in his chain, every act here adds a grain of strain. He feels the gate crack a little more. He looks at the child. He hears the boy's future paths in faint whispers. Some are good, some are bad. All were at risk of never happening. I am not a machine, SCP-001 says again. I do not only do the biggest thing. I do what is in front of me, when it is right. Varro steps closer. I agree that numbers are not everything, he says, surprising Lyra. I have spared lives when doctrine said to kill, when I saw something in their eyes. But I cannot escape the scale. If I waste my time on small things while a sector burns, I fail my duty. He meets the angel's gaze. You left your first duty once, Varro says. You came here. Now that you are here, you must not keep abandoning this front line for a single cot, a single boy, if that costs us the system. Mercy can become another form of cowardice if we use it to avoid hard choices. The words are sharp. They cut. SCP. One feels them. He looks at Lyra, at the Medicae, at the child. They watch him, scared not of him, but of his answer, of what it might mean for people like them. He speaks slowly. Mercy is why I left my first gate, he says, and duty is why I fight here. They are not enemies, but you are right, Inquisitor. I must not let small acts blind me to larger costs. He straightens. I will not go cot to cot, he says. I will do this when I can, when it does not endanger the greater fight. When I cannot, you must decide. That is your duty. You have done it before. You will do it again. Varro nods. We will, he says, and I will not lie. It will not always be clean. SCP-001 inclines his head. Nothing about doors and gates is clean, he says. Lyra looks up at him. Thank you, she whispers. For him. SCP-001's light softens. You called, he says again. I answered. That is all. Turns away. Varro watches him go. You could have told him no, Varro says quietly. Once the angel's glow fades down the hall. You could have said his life was not worth the risk. The Medicae looks at him, shocked. Could you? She asks. Varro's jaw clenches. Yes, he says. I have, many times. He looks at the sleeping child. But every time I do, he adds, very softly, I lose something I cannot name. The Iron Seraphim do not rest while the Imperium argues with itself. On the blasphemous choir, the Dark Apostle walks into a chamber lined with chained psychers. Their eyes are sewn shut. Their mouths are held open with metal hooks. This is the choir of silent entry. They are not singers in any normal sense. They speak in thoughts and symbols, not words. Their minds are tuned to one task, to carry a concept on the warp itself. The Dark Apostle stands before them. You felt the rule he wrote, he says. You felt how he bent our gate. He thinks his law is above ours. He thinks he can say who passes and who does not. The psychers twitch. They have felt the denial. They have felt their own powers diverted, doors they tried to open pushed aside. We will cut his law, the Dark Apostle says. We will make a hymn that eats rules. He begins to chant. The words are not in any human tongue. They are ideas wrapped in sounds. They hold three pieces: a denial of doors, a praise of broken rules, a claim that no one has the right to judge. The psychers take the shape of this hymn into their minds. They push it into the warp like a spear. It is not a beam of light. It is a hole, an absence wrapped in meaning. It streaks across the immaterium, not toward the world, but toward the circle law SCP-001 drew in space. When it hits, the circle shakes. SCP-001 feels it at once. He's back in the void now, returning to the front. He's just lifting his sword again when something cold brushes his wings. He looks at his circle. Its lines flicker. For a moment, the rule weakens. The path between the Iron Seraphim's tear and the wound above Vardos Prime becomes less twisted. A bit of the demonic tide slithers through, closer to alignment. He tightens his will. Hold, he commands. The circle brightens. The rule firms. The path twists again. But the hymn does not stop. It gnaws. It is not trying to break the circle entirely. It is learning. It is tasting the pattern of SCP-001's law. The Dark Apostle smiles with bloody teeth. Again, he tells the choir of silent entry. And again, until we know its flavor. Until we can sing a hymn that unravels not only his circles, but his sight. On the Gloria Invictus, a tech priest reports strange readings. Admiral, he says, mechadendrites twitching. The law field around the enemy warp anomaly is fluctuating. An unknown pattern digs at it. It resembles an anti-code, a counter-prayer. Can it break through? Juno asks. Not yet, he says, but each impact grows more precise. Something on their side is learning our ally. Juno looks at the big picture of the system. She sees the Chaos flagship, its escorts, the dragging tear, the circle around it, and the flickers of interference. We have to hit them before they finish their lesson, she says. Signal Captain Marius. Begin the boarding run. Boarding torpedoes launch, They are armoured cylinders packed with Astartes. They streak through the battlefield, small compared to capital ships but deadly. Void shields flare as they punch through. Hull plates crumple as they slam in. On the blasphemous choir, alarms blare. Red lights flash. Marines in black armour, the Iron Seraphim, rush to meet the invaders. Their own stylized wings spread, mockeries of angels. Captain Marius and his azure blades crash out of their torpedo and into a corridor of screaming metal. Bolter fire fills the hall. Bolters are guns that fire explosive shells. Each round can tear a man apart. The Loyalist Marines advance in a blue and gold wedge. Azure blades, Marius roars. By the Emperor and by the honour of our chapter, we cut a path to the bridge. We take the head and the body dies. His brothers answer with vox-voiced cries. They slam into the traitors. Armour clashes. Chainswords scream. Blood, red and black, floats in the air in slow globes. Somewhere deep in the ship, the Dark Apostle feels the boarding action. "Let the fools cut," he murmurs. "While they swing their swords, we swing our words." He turns back to the choir. "Now we send the hymn not at his circle," he says. "We send it at him." The hymn hits SCP-001 like a shadow. He is watching the boarding icons blink on his sense map when dullness creeps at the edges of his awareness. For a moment, he cannot see the warp as clearly. The bright points of souls dim. The paths between doors blur. He sways. The chain to his first gate pulls tight, then slackens in strange jerks. He feels something touch his law. It asks, in a whisper, "Who are you to judge?" He hears another, "Who gave you the right to decide who is worthy?" And another, "What if you are wrong?" These are not new questions. He has heard them from mortals and gods alike. But this is different. These questions are wrapped in faith. They are not just doubts. They are prayers, but not to him. They are prayers against judgment itself. The choir of silent entry sings in their ship. Their song says, "No door has the right to stand closed. No guard has the right to say no. All must enter." The warp likes this song. It is a place of hunger. Doors mean less to it. Rules are cages. A hymn that praises broken gates resonates with it. The song uses that resonance to push back against SCP-001's nature. For the first time in his long existence, he feels his certainty shake. Guard the way. Spare the innocent. Deny the unworthy. What if denying is wrong? What if all denying is a sin? The hymn tries to wrap that idea around his law, to flip it. He grits his teeth. "I am not a god because I enjoy saying no," he grinds out, "to no one. I am a guard because someone must stand where others will not." He pushes back. Light flares from his wings. The hymn recoils, but not all the way. It leaves a mark. In his sight, a few souls near the chaos ships blur completely. He cannot see if they are innocent or guilty. They are just grey. He stares. "What is this?" he whispers. On the planet, Inquisitor Varro feels a prickling in his own mind. He is sensitive to psychic shifts. Not a psyker himself, but close. He calls an astropath. "Tell me what you feel from our angel," he orders. The astropath shudders. "There is a shadow on his light," she says. "Something that says no one may say no. It is a paradox. It hurts." Varro's stomach knots. "Can it hurt him?" he asks. "Yes," she says. "If it spreads, he will be blind. And if a judge cannot see, he must either refuse to judge at all, or swing his sword in the dark." Varro thinks of exterminatus. He thinks of what happens when you swing in the dark. He turns to his staff. "We have to assume the enemy has found a way to attack his core function," he says. "We must plan for that. In a chamber lit by red holorunes, Inquisitor Varro explains to his kill team sergeants what the Choir of Silent Entry is doing. He tells them, in simple words, that SCP-001's power is built on a rule about doors and worthiness, and that Chaos Priests have made a counter-prayer that praises broken rules and demands that all be let through. He says this hymn rides the warp and wraps around the angel's law like rot on a tree, trying to twist it. He warns them that when such a hymn hits, SCP-001's sight of who is innocent may blur, and that forcing him to judge in that state could either stop him from acting or drive him to overkill. He orders them to seek and kill the singers if they ever set foot on the planet, because each one is not just a man, but a blade aimed at their greatest ally. The next briefing is held under the ground, not above it. Up to now, the Angel has bent a Chaos Gate away from the world, won the first space clash with the Imperium's help, and taken a new kind of wound, a song that eats at his right to judge. Inquisitor Varro stands over a simple metal table. The room is a bunker 3 levels under the Hive command spire. The walls sweat with moisture from too many bodies and too little air. Vox screens show fuzzy images of the void battle and glowing warp graphs. Admiral Juno appears as a hollow above the table, her image blue and grainy. Captain Marius stands in person, too large for the space, helm off, face set. SCP-001 is there as well. He shrinks himself, folding his wings tight. His light is dimmed so that human eyes can bear it, but the air still tastes like hot metal and incense. Varro taps a rune. A hollow of the Chaos flagship appears, dragging its chained warp tier. This is our foe, Varro says. The Iron Seraphim warband. Their goal here is not just to kill Vardos Prime. They want to turn this world into a door. He points at the tear. They brought their own wound in reality, he says. If they bind it to the scar over Hive Helios, they make a stable gate, a permanent one. From that, they can vomit demons into this whole sector, or use it as a step toward wider storms. Some parts even point toward the route to Terra. Juno frowns. We knew they were dangerous, she says, but not that dangerous. We did not know they had learned this trick, Varro replies. Now we do. He changes the hollow. Now it shows lines around the tear. The circle, SCP-001, Drew glows as a white ring. On it, small dark flecks flash. These marks are the enemy's new weapon, Varro says. They're him, an anti-law. They send it through the warp to chew at our allies' rule. He looks at the Angel. Without the circle, Varro says, our normal counters are not enough. Exterminatus kills the world, but the gate they brought is not bound to the soil. It can be carried away and used again. Destroying their ship may not end the hymn either. Its pattern is in the warp now. Captain Marius crosses his arms. We are Adeptus Astartes, he says. We have killed Dark Apostles before, killed a priest, and his right fails. That is a standard counter. Varro nods. That will weaken them, he says. But this Dark Apostle has already fed his idea into the warp. Killing his body may not erase the song. It is like a story that has already spread. Juno's hollow leans forward. So we have 3 problems, she says. The tear they drag, the hymn they sing, and the fact that their ritual can work even if they lose this fight, if that gate finds another world later. Varro lifts his chin. Yes, he says. Standard tools are blunt here. Burning the world costs too much. Destroying the ship does not solve the hymn. Killing the priest may be too slow. He turns to SCP-001. That leaves your blade, he says. You can cut paths, not just matter. You can reach into rules themselves. SCP-001 is quiet. He feels the hymn gnawing at his law circle even now, always testing, always learning. I can, he says, but when I cut rules, I do more than your exterminatus. Your bombs burn bodies and stone. My cuts burn not just flesh, but memories and meanings. They can make doors that never were, or close doors forever. Varro's eyes narrow. Explain, he says. When I wrote my circle, SCP-001 says, I did not move the Iron Seraphim's tear the way a tug moves a ship. I changed the fact of where it could link. I changed a small truth for a time. That is why their song hurts me. It is not just a shout in the warp. It is an argument about truth. He looks at the hollow of the tear. If I cut their hymn, he says, I must step into the same layer. I must change the way the warp itself treats the idea of doors presented by that priest. That will echo, not just here, elsewhere. Some of those echoes may reach my first gate, and every such echo hurts my chain. Varro takes that in. So if you win that duel, he says slowly, you weaken yourself further, and if you lose, you may lose your sight, or worse, you may become something else. Yes, SCP-001 says. Juno's hollow looks between them. Can we afford not to risk it? She asks. If the hymn keeps eating your lore, our shields may fail, and the gate may slip. If we do nothing, we lose for certain. Varro nods once. A delayed death, he says, versus a risky strike. Classic problem. Captain Marius puts his gauntleted hands on the table. Strategy is clear, he says. We keep their guns busy. We send my brothers closer, so their ships must focus on us. In that gap, the angel steps into their ritual space. He duels their priest. He must kill the hymn at its source. He looks at SCP-001 without fear. Can you face him in his own realm? Marius asks. In the warp. SCP-001 remembers ages spent outside other realms. He was made to stand at the edge, not inside. I can step into a shallow layer, he says, enough to meet his song. If I go deeper, the chain will scream, and my first gate may crack fully. That I will not do, unless there is no other way. Varro's mouth tightens. And if you misjudge, he asks, if you cut too deep, then there will be screams in places you do not know, SCP-001 says, and perhaps in places you do. Varro closes his eyes for a moment. War is always choosing whose screams you hear, he says. He opens them again. We proceed, he says, but we must be ready for your failure. If you fall or turn, we must be able to kill you. Juno stiffens. We cannot kill what just saved us, she says. We can if it becomes a bigger threat than the Iron Seraphim, Varro replies. That is not hate, that is duty. He looks at Captain Marius. Can your chapter slay something like him? He asks. Marius thinks. I do not know, he says honestly. Our blades have tasted demons and primarchs. This one is different, but if the Emperor wills it, we will try. SCP-001 listens. He is not insulted. A gatekeeper must always accept the risk of being struck down by those he guards if he fails. If I fall to their hymn, he says, I will try to give a sign, a flare, something that tells you I am no longer myself. If you see it, do not hesitate, strike me. Varro studies him. Why? He asks. Why trust us to end you? SCP-001's eyes are tired. Because I chose to step into your war, he says. My law no longer belongs only to my first gate. It hangs over you too. I will not let it be twisted into a weapon against the innocent. Minutes later, the plan moves. In orbit, the Gloria Invictus and the other Imperial ships close again. Macro cannons roar, lances burn, chaos guns answer. The void between fleets fills with deadly light. On the blasphemous choir, Captain Marius and his azure blades push deeper. They fight through corridors filled with traitor Astartes. Each Iron Seraph wears winged armor and carries a bolter carved with screaming faces. They chant twisted hymns as they fire. Marius's chainsword bites through one traitor's chest. He kicks the corpse away and pushes forward. "Bridges ahead," he calls. "Hold the flank. We cannot let them push us back." Bolter shells explode around him. One hits his pauldron, cracking gold trim. He barely feels it. He was made for this. In a shrine-like hall deeper in the ship, the choir of silent entry keeps singing. The Dark Apostle stands among them, blood up to his ankles. The warp tear beyond the hull pulses with their song. The hymn spears toward SCP-001 again. He feels it coming. He hangs alone in the void, wings spread, sword lowered for a moment. He closes his eyes. He steps sideways. The stars vanish. He is in a place that is not a place. The warp is not like normal space. There is no up or down, no distance. There are only feelings and ideas given shape. SCP-001 stands on something like a floor. It looks like cracked marble, but each crack is a screaming mouth. Above him is a sky of torn banners, each showing a broken gate. Ahead, a black altar rises. On it stands the Dark Apostle. Here, he is taller, swollen with faith. His scars glow like hot coal lines. His eyes are twin fires. His staff is made of melted keys. He smiles. "Welcome to the choir loft, stranger," he says. His voice echoes everywhere. "You who call yourself a guardian, you who think you can deny the faithful their entry." SCP-001's wings rustle. "You praise the breaking of doors," he says. "You call that faith?" The Dark Apostle laughs. "I praise freedom," he says. "Freedom from judgment, freedom from rules. In my creed, all gates are open. All may drink, all may burn. No one like you stands in their way." He spreads his arms. "Look," he says. Around them, the warp shapes itself into images. SCP-001 sees people standing before shining doors. Some are kind, some cruel. Some have repented, some not. Behind some doors is light. Behind others, something hungry. In many images, a tall angel stands with a flaming sword, turning some away. The Dark Apostle points. "See the ones you denied," he says. "See the tears. See the hands beaten bloody on closed doors. Who are you to say they were unworthy? Who gave you that right?" SCP-001 feels the hymn wrap around those questions. They are not just words. They are blades, dipped in doubt. They look for small cracks in his certainty, then pry. He tightens his grip on his sword. "I did not build the gate," he says. "I did not choose the law. I was made to guard it. I did not decide what counts as worthy. I only see and act." The Dark Apostle steps down from his altar. "And you trust the one who made that law to be right?" he asks. "To be just? You think your maker knew all things, that his rules never hurt the wrong people?" SCP-001 is silent. He has seen those beaten hands. He has turned away those who begged. He has heard their curses and pleas. He has wondered, at times, if the law is always fair. The hymn senses that. It surges. The marble mouths scream. The broken banner sky dances. Some of SCP-001's feathers darken at the tips. The Dark Apostle smiles wider. "You have doubt," he says. "Good. Doubt is a crack. Cracks break. Gates. Come, let me finish the work." He lifts his staff. Symbols rise from it, glowing red. Each symbol is a rule broken. No entry for murderers, cracks. No entry for those who worship other gods, shatters. No entry for those who never knew the law, twists. Each broken rule flies at SCP-001. They hit his wings like arrows. He feels them sink. Each one carries a tiny lesson. You turned away someone who might have changed. You judged a culture you did not understand. You listened to please once, but not another time. His light flickers. Some souls in his sight blur again. They become grey, neither innocent nor guilty in his mind, just unknown. His law cannot mark them. He grunts. He swings his sword. The blast of light clears the first wave of symbols, but more rise. It is like cutting rain. The Dark Apostle does not rush him. He keeps talking. That is the truth of judgment, he says. You cannot know everything. You will always be wrong sometimes. And yet you still swing your sword. That is pride. That is sin. I offer you a way out. He steps closer. Stop judging, he says. Open all doors. Lay down your sword. Let all who come go where they will. You will never be wrong again, because you will never say no. The hymn swells. It presses into SCP-001's mind like a storm tide. He sees, in a flash, what it would be like. Gates broken. No more choices. Everything open. The weight of each soul's path lifted from his shoulders. He would be free. No more screams at his back. No more hands on doors. No more tears he caused. Just light and darkness, mixed. He staggers. One knee hits the cracked marble. In the void outside, his real body wavers. The circle around the warp tear flickers. On the Gloria Invictus, alarms blare. Admiral, a tech priest cries. The law field is weakening. The enemy anomaly is shifting. The angel's warp signature is unstable. Juno grips the rail. Hold formation, she snaps. We knew this could happen. Keep firing on their escorts. Buy him time. On Vardos Prime, astropaths fall to their knees in their choir pits. They feel the argument in the warp. Some weep, some clutch their heads. One cries, he doubts. The angel doubts. Varro feels sweat run down his spine. If he gives in, he says, we lose our judge, and perhaps gain a monster. Back in the warped cathedral, the Dark Apostle walks around SCP-001 like a vulture. Think of it, he purrs. No more choices, no more error. You will not have to hear people call you cruel. You will not have to bear the weight of doors. You will be just another piece in the storm. Free. He leans close. Or, he says, if you must have rules, choose a simple one. Say, all are unworthy. Burn everything. Close all gates forever. That also ends doubt. No more decisions. Just one big no. He raises his arms high. In my creed, both paths are holy, he says. End all judgment by opening all doors, or end all life by closing them. What matters is that you stop standing between. You stop thinking you can measure worth. SCP-001's wings tremble. He is on one knee, sword in hand, but point down. He hears echoes of his own thoughts, long buried. He has wondered before if it would be kinder to open the gate and let all in, or to close it forever and let all die outside. These are old questions scratched into his being. The hymn presses on those scratches. He feels feathers fall, turning to ash. In the void, the warp tear jerks closer to alignment with the wound over Vardos Prime. The circle lane twists, but not enough. A thin line of connection forms. Demon shapes sniff the world beyond. In the underhive, a cult shrine flares. A hole opens in midair. Clawed fingers push through. Varro's Vox explodes with reports. Demon breach in Sector 12, someone screams. Mass incursion. We need... Varro cuts the line. He cannot fix that now. He looks up at the ceiling. Angel, he whispers. Decide. SCP-001 breathed. He remembers the child on the cot. He remembers Lyra kneeling on the walkway. He remembers the saints and monsters he has turned away from his first gate. Some cursed him. Some thanked him for honesty. Some he never saw again. He remembers the law. Guard the way, spare the innocent, deny the unworthy. He hears the Dark Apostle's offers. Open all doors, close all doors. Both are easy, both end out. He knows something deep. Easy answers are often lies. He lifts his head. I was not made to be free, he says, voice rough. I was not made to be right all the time. I was made to stand where I am told and do my best with what I can see. He pushes against the hymn. I will be wrong sometimes, he says. I will hurt people by mistake. I will turn away some who might have changed and spare some who will harm. That is the cost. He plants his sword. The blade sinks into the screaming marble. I accept that cost, he says. I accept my imperfection. I will still judge. Because someone must. Because if all doors are open or all are closed, there is no choice at all. There is only chaos or death. He stands. Light bursts from him. The Dark Apostle recoils, hand raised. The hymn shrieks. You cling to shame, the Apostle cries. You admit your law is broken and yet you wield it. That is hypocrisy. No, SCP-001 says. That is responsibility. He tears his sword free and swings. The duel truly begins. The Dark Apostle's staff becomes a spear of black fire. He lunges. SCP-001 meets him. Sword of light and spear of dark clash. Sparks of pure concept fly. Where they land, small doors appear and slam shut at random, each one a tiny rule written and unwritten. The marble mouths howl. They trade blows. Each strike is not just force. It is idea versus idea. When the Dark Apostle's spear grazes SCP-001's arm, the wound is not flesh torn. It is a patch of his law burned out. In that patch, he cannot see innocence or guilt. It is pure blind spot. He gasps as a grey hole opens in his perception. Dozens of souls across the battlefield vanish from his sense in that instant. Some are cultists about to strike. Some are guardsmen about to die. He cannot tell. He stumbles. The Dark Apostle laughs. See, he says, every blow I land makes you less able to judge. Soon you will be blind. Then your law is a joke. SCP-001 grits his teeth. He swings. His blade cuts the Apostle's side. The wound is not flesh torn either. A strip of the Apostle's faith vanishes. For a heartbeat, he has no belief in his own creed. He is just a man in scars and robes, scared and small. He chokes. Then the warp fills the gap with raw hate, and his faith returns, twisted tighter. They circle. Outside in the void, the warp tear jerks back as the hymn falters, then pushes forward again as the Apostle rallies. On Vardos Prime, demons crawl halfway out of the Sector 12 breach, then scream as the gate wobbles. Lyra sees one in the tunnel ahead of her. It is tall, horned, with a blade for an arm. It raises its weapon toward a group of workers. Its form flickers, half in, half out. Run, someone yells. Lyra freezes. The demon's eyes snap to her. Then, far away, SCP-001 twists his sword. The gate behind the demon slams shut halfway. The demon's body is cut at the waist by reality itself. The upper half falls and dissolves into ash. The lower half never existed. Lyra drops to her knees, shaking, as the warp ripples shut. She looks up through dust and metal. Please, she whispers, please win. Back in the warp cathedral, the Dark Apostle changes tactics. He slams his staff into the floor. The screaming mouths fall silent. Doors rise around them. Hundreds of gates, each with a different frame. Some have symbols of SCP-001's first realm. Some bear the double-headed eagle of the Imperium. Some bear chaos sigils. They all swing open at once. Behind some is light. Behind some is shadow. Behind some is nothing. SCP-001 feels a pull. Let us test your law, the Apostle says. He waves a hand. Figures appear before the doors. A mother who stole to feed her children. A soldier who killed prisoners under orders. A priest who doubted in secret but led the faithful in public. A child who knows nothing of any law. A traitor marine who now regrets, perhaps. A cultist who thinks he is serving a good cause. The warp shapes them from memory and possibility. Judge, the apostle says, you must pick. Who is worthy? Who is not? Quick now. The doors close soon. If you are too slow, they will go where they go without you. The hymn hums. It makes every choice feel like a trap. If he sends the mother through, perhaps her stolen bread saved a killer who later murdered many. If he turns the priest away, perhaps his doubt would have led to needed reform. If he sends the child in, perhaps the realm behind is not safe. SCP-001's wings tremble. He has seen this game before, in quieter moments. The apostle turns it into a weapon. See the weight on your shoulders, the apostle says. See how one choice today echoes into 1,000 tomorrows you cannot see. You are not a god. You are not all-knowing. You are a tired guard. Lay down your burden. Let them pass or fail without you. The figures look at SCP-001. Their eyes are pleading. Some say, please let me in. Others say, please keep them out. Some do not understand at all. He wants to close his eyes. He does not. He lifts his sword. He points at doors. You, he says to the mother, you may pass. You stole for love, not greed. Your harm was small. Your regret is real. He points at the soldier. You may not, he says. You killed helpless people and never repented. Your fear of your own officers mattered more to you than their lives. He points at the priest. You may pass, he says. Doubt is not sin when it drives you to care more. He points at the child. You may not pass yet, he says softly. You are not ready. You know too little. You will live more first. He points at the traitor marine. You may not, he says. Not yet. Your regret is new. You have not made amends. He points at the cultist. You may not, he says. You serve a lie you choose to believe, because it flatters you. Each choice hurts. He sees possible futures twist and snap. He knows some of these may be wrong calls. He knows his sight is blurred by the hymn. Some of the grey holes overlap these souls. He may be judging blind. He chooses anyway. The doors slam. The chosen vanish into light. The denied are pushed back into shadow. The child is swept away into a path of life, not death. The Dark Apostle snarls. You still play the game, he says. Even when you know you might be wrong, you are pitiful. No, SCP-001 says. His voice is steady. I'm doing my job. He lunges. Their weapons meet in a flash that shakes the whole warp bubble. The hymn stutters. In the void, the law circle flares bright. The tear jerks back from alignment. Demon gates on Vardos Prime slam half shut, but the cost comes. The wound from the spear in his arm widens. The grey patch in his sight spreads. Dozens more souls vanish from his senses. Whole blocks of the underhive become blank. One Imperial ship's crew turns into a smear of static in his mind. He cannot see if they are about to mutiny or pray. He grunts. The Dark Apostle sees the flinch. He grins. Every time you judge, you lose a little more ability to judge, he says. Soon you will be blind. Then what? Then I will ask others to help. SCP-001 says through his teeth. He pushes forward. They clash again. Outside, Captain Marius and the Azure Blades reach the inner decks. They can feel the warp pressure through their armor. They know their foe is doing more than normal sorcery. Brother Sergeant Tiber, Marius voxes. Hold the rear. I take a small squad to the bridge. We must reach their priest body, even if our angel fails in the warp. By your word, Captain, Tiber says. Marius and 4 veterans fight their way through blast doors and burning halls. They burst into the bridge. Kuldrask stands there. The warband lord turns, metal wings creaking. He is huge, even for a traitor marine. His armor is painted in twisted copies of saintly murals, now smeared with blood. His helm is a smooth angel mask with a weeping face. Children of the corpse, Kuldrask says, you are late. Your god sent an angel. We sent a better one. He spreads his wings. Marius raises his chainsword. I see only a fallen dog, he says. Come, let us test your faith. Their duel is brutal, but it is not the main spiritual wound of this act. It is a clash of steel and hate, while the deeper clash of ideas goes on in the warp bubble between SCP-001 and the Dark Apostle. Still, their fight matters. Every time Marius forces Kuldrask to step back, the warband lord's focus slips. The pull he gives to his priest lessens. The hymn loses a little backing. Every time Kuldrask slams Marius into a wall, the loyal captain's blood sprays the bridge. His brothers fall one by one. Above it all, the warp tear twists and howls. In the warp cathedral, the Dark Apostle gathers his strength for a final push. He raises both hands. He stops attacking SCP-001's wings and instead aims at his chain. SCP-001 feels it at once. A dark hook slides along the link that connects him to his first gate. It tries to twist its meaning. The Apostle's voice booms. You left this chain once, he says. You broke duty for mercy. Why not break it again? Cast it off. Say you owe nothing to that old order. Serve a new one. Serve me. Serve the dark gods. Be a gatekeeper no more. Be a breaker. The hymn pours all its force into that idea. The chain groans. Far away by the first gate, the crack widens. Shapes push through. They are not demons like in this galaxy. They are things from SCP-001's own origin. Old supplicants, rejected long ago, now swollen with resentment. They smell a chance. If the chain snaps, they will flood into whatever stands behind that gate. They will also be able to follow SCP-001's trace here, into this galaxy. 2 realms will bleed into each other. SCP-001 feels the strain. He can end it by letting go. If he drops the chain, the pain stops. He no longer has to care what happens to that other gate. He can say, "It is not my duty anymore. I chose this war instead." He almost does. For one small, ugly instant, he almost lets go. He thinks of Lyra again. If he chooses this galaxy fully, he can say he did it for her and those like her. He can tell himself that is noble. He also thinks of the ones behind his first gate. They do not have Lyra's face. He has never seen most of them. They are strangers. Duty is hardest when it is for strangers. He snarls. "I will not cut my chain," he says. He grabs it with his will. He pulls. The Dark Apostle's hook digs deeper. The pain is bright. SCP-001 screams. The sound is not like before. It is a word. No. The word echoes through the warp. It is not no like a small denial. It is no as a rule. A wall. It hits the hook. It hits the hymn. It hits everything linked to the idea. No one may say no. The choir of silent entry convulses. Their brains, tuned to the hymn, cannot handle the counterforce. Some die. Some go blind. Some lose all ability to sing. On the blasphemous choir, the warp tear stutters. Its chains snap and reform. The path to Vardos Prime collapses for a moment. On the planet, dozens of minor demon holes slam shut. Demons half out are cut into ash. Cult spells fizzle. Astropaths who are hearing the hymn scream and fall silent. Some never wake. SCP-001's no is not gentle. It doesn't only hit the enemy song. It hits any mind that was listening to that idea. even in fear. In the underhive, a small choir of sanctioned psychers who serve the guard clutches their heads. 2 die with blood running from their ears. In Varro's bunker, a low-grade psyker clerk collapses mid-sentence. Varro catches him. "Medici," he shouts. The man's eyes are empty. Varro looks up, jaw tight. "This," he says, "is the price." In the Warp Cathedral, the Dark Apostle falls to his knees. His staff shatters. His scars dim. He tries to speak, to sing, but no sound comes. His voice has been judged and cut. SCP-001 staggers too. His chain is still whole, but his wings are ragged. Whole rows of feathers are grey and dead. The wound in his arm spreads across his chest in a patch of blindness. He has lost the ability to see innocence in whole directions. He looks at the Apostle. "You asked who gave me the right," he says. His voice is tired. "No one did. That is the truth. I only have a duty. I chose to keep it. That is all." He lifts his sword. He brings it down. The Dark Apostle's body splits. Light pours through the crack. For a heartbeat, the man inside the monster is visible. A scared boy who once wanted to save people by breaking rules. Then he is gone. The Warp Cathedral shakes. The hymn ends. Codex note. Later scholars will say SCP-1's no in this battle set a new pattern in the local warp, making certain forms of all gates open rituals harder, but at the cost of burning out many minor psychers who heard it. SCP-001 staggers out of the warp. To human eyes, he reappears in the void in an instant. One moment he was steady, wings firm. The next, he is flickering, missing feathers, light torn. The circle around the warp tear blazes. The tear itself shrinks, screaming, its path to the world broken. It is still there, but weaker, no longer linked to Vardos Prime. On the Gloria Invictus, cheers rise again. The anomaly is collapsing. The tech priest cries. The enemy ritual target is gone. The gate is isolated. Juno grips the rail, relief flooding her. "Signal all ships," she says. "Press the attack. We have them." On the blasphemous choir bridge, Kuldrask feels his priest die. He roars. His wings flare. He smashes Marius aside with a brutal backhand. The loyal captain hits a bulkhead hard enough to dent it. Marius rises, coughing blood. "We have cut your tongue," he says. "Your hymn is ash. Surrender." Kuldrask laughs, a harsh, broken sound. "I have other songs," he says. He presses a rune on his vambrace. All over the ship, charges arm. He is willing to blow his own flagship, rather than let it be taken. In orbit, Imperial Auspex picks up the spike. "Admiral," someone shouts. "The enemy flagship's reactors are going critical. It's going to blow." Juno's mind races. "Get our ships clear," she orders. "Pull back, now." Her helmsmen act. Engines burn. The Imperial fleet starts to turn, to run from the blast radius. SCP-001 sees it. He sees something else too. Inside the flagship, through blind spots and hurt lore, he still sees one thing clearly. Captain Marius and his squad. They will die in the explosion. He also sees the warp tear still chained behind the ship. If the flagship explodes near it, the tear might twist, sending shards of gate along warp lines. It could make smaller wounds in random places. He has a choice. He can cut the flagship cleanly, move the blast away from the tear, save the wider system. But if he cuts in the wrong way, he might also cut Marius and his squad from time, unmaking them instead of killing them. They will never have lived. Or he can try to pull them out first. He has seconds. His sight is damaged. Some of the souls on that ship are grey to him now. Some might be traitors. Some might be loyal. His law cannot mark them all. He chooses. He moves. He streaks toward the flagship, wings burning, He reaches out with both hands, not sword. He grabs a small bubble of space-time around the bridge. He yanks. For a second, the bridge of the blasphemous choir is not where it should be. Kuldrask, Marius, traitors, consoles, blood, all wrapped in a ball of reality, jerk sideways. The flagship explodes. The blast blooms out. It hits the warp tear like a hammer. The tear shrieks and shreds, pieces flung into the immaterium. The explosion also hits the edge of SCP-001's pooled bubble. The ball cracks. He manages to throw it away from the worst of the blast toward empty space. Then it bursts. The bridge appears in the void, torn and spinning. Marius and Kuldrask tumble out along with bodies and flame. SCP-001 reaches for Marius. He catches him. The captain gasps in empty space. There is no air. His lungs burn. But for a heartbeat, SCP-001's glow wraps him, keeping him alive. Kuldrask spins away, wings broken. SCP-001 has no hand left for him. He watches the traitor lord drift toward a shard of the torn warp tear. He hits it. He vanishes into a small screaming hole. His fate is not known. SCP-001 turns his focus back to Marius. He pulls him close. He feels the man's soul flicker. He could save him with a tiny cut. He could write a rule that says, "This one does not die from vacuum." It would cost a little more of his law, a little more strain on his chain. He hears Varro's warning in his memory. Mercy can become cowardice if it avoids hard choices. He hears Juno's voice. We all hurt. That is war. He looks at Marius. The captain's eyes meet his. He cannot speak in the void, but his lips form words. For the Emperor, he mouths. SCP-001 sees his whole path. Marius has lived long, fought well, saved many. His ledger is heavy on the side of duty. He can let him die a clean death here as a hero. He can also save him to fight more, but at the cost of more strain on his law, more blind spots later. He chooses. He does not cut a rule for Marius. He cradles him. He lets him die. The captain's soul rises, a small blue flame. For a moment, SCP-001 thinks he sees another light reaching for it, somewhere far away, golden and vast. Then it is gone. He is alone with a cooling body. He feels heavier. He did the right, strategic thing. He still feels like he failed. He whispers in the void. "Forgive me," he says. He's not sure if he speaks to Marius, to his maker, or to himself. The explosion fades. The Iron Seraphim flagship is gone. Its escorts burn or flee, broken. The warp tear is in pieces, each shard a small hazard but no longer a single vast door. The Imperial fleet holds. On the Gloria Invictus, cheers rise again, but they are mixed with sobs. Enemy flagship destroyed, someone cries. Warp anomaly shattered. We have reports of massive psychic deaths, another says, voice shaking. Our astropath choir is half gone. Juno closes her eyes. Honor the dead, she says. See to the living. She looks at the picked window. SCP-001 hangs there ragged, holding a dead space marine in his arms. Something about that sight hits her harder than any data. He looks smaller, tired. For the first time, she understands that he is not an endless force. He is a person of a sort, underweight. She bows her head. Thank you, she whispers. On Vardos Prime, the demon breaches falter. Varro's kill teams finish off the cult cells. The Sector 12 hole seals with a final pop. The child on the cot sleeps on. Medici walk among the psychers. Some wake, eyes dimmer. Some never move again. Varro stands in the choir pit. He looks at the bodies. He knows what caused this. Not chaos. Not exactly. The angels know blasted them while it cut the hymn. He does not blame SCP-001. They were in the line of fire. He also cannot ignore the fact that their blood is now on the angels' hands as well as on the enemies. He looks up. "We have seen your mercy," he says softly. "Now we have seen your hard choices. You are not clean, Angel. That makes you closer to us than I thought." Later, SCP-001 stands again in the Gloria Invictus Strategium. He is dimmer still. His wings are patched with grey. Some feathers are missing entirely. Parts of his outline seem to fade at the edges, like a drawing rubbed by a thumb. Admiral Juno stands before him. Inquisitor Varro is there in person now, brought up from the surface by a shuttle. His face is more lined than before. A robed figure joins them. He wears a golden aquila on his chest and carries a tall staff with a burning tip. His eyes burn with inner fire. He is Canoness Prelate Severian, an envoy of the Ecclesiarchy, the Imperial Church, sent from a nearby shrine world when news of an angelic manifestation reached them through the astropath network. He looks at SCP-001 with awe and suspicion at once. "By the throne," he breathes, "you shine like the saints in the old tales." SCP-01 does not answer. He waits. Juno clears her throat. "The Iron Seraphim flagship is gone," she says. "Their gate is broken. Their ritual failed. Vardos Prime still stands. For that, on behalf of this sector, I thank you." She bows her head. SCP-001 inclines his own. "I did my duty," he says. Varro speaks next. "You also killed many of our psychers," he says. His tone is not accusing, just stating, "Your no saved us from the hymn, but its shock burned their minds." "Yes," SCP-001 says. "I knew it might. I did it anyway. There was no time to craft a gentler cut." Varro nods slowly. "I do not say you were wrong," he says. "Only that we must not pretend your hand is clean. You are a weapon now, not just a shield." Canoness Prelate Severian lifts his staff. "The Ministorum has debated your nature since news of you reached us," he says. "Some say you are a true saint, sent by the Emperor. Others say you are a xenospirit, or a warp thing in fair form. The High Synod has not yet decided." He looks SCP-0021 in the eyes. "I have been tasked to give you a message," he says, "from higher than me." He reaches into his robe. He pulls out a small golden seal. It bears the mark of Terra. The double-headed eagle, the sigil of the High Lords, is stamped deep. "By order of the Senatorum Imperialis," he says, "you are commanded to present yourself on Terra, before the Golden Throne. The Supreme Authority must look upon you and judge." The words hang in the air. Juno inhales sharply. Varro's lids lower. He expected this. "You have shaken the warp itself," Varro says. "You have bent laws. You have killed and saved billions by your choices. The Emperor does not let such things go unexamined." Severian's starfire flares. "You will go to Holy Terra," he says. "You will kneel before the Master of Mankind. You will accept his judgment on what you are and what you may do in his realm." His voice is full of church thunder. SCP-1 listens. He thinks of his first gate. He thinks of the crack. He thinks of his chain. Going to Terra means going closer to another power, another throne, another door. "Your Emperor sits on a golden machine," he says quietly. "He holds a gate of his own. I have seen its light in the warp, struggling against the storm." Varro, Juno, and Severian all stiffen. "You speak of things you should not name," Severian says. "But yes, he watches, he holds." SCP-001 lifts his sword a little. "I left one throne to protect it from your storm," he says. "Now your throne calls me." He is tired. He has just risked and preserved his duty. Now he is asked to place it under another's gaze. Will your Emperor understand what I am? He asks. Varro answers, not the priest. If anyone in this galaxy can understand the weight of a gate and the price of judgment, he says, it is him. Juno nods. You are powerful, she says. Too powerful to roam without a mandate. If you go to Terra and are accepted, you will have one. If you refuse... Her voice trails off. Varro finishes. If you refuse, he says, the Imperium will treat you as a rogue god weapon. We will have to try to destroy you, or at least drive you away. We cannot risk a power like you loose and answerable to no one. SCP-001 feels the old law in his mind. Guard the way, spare the innocent, deny the unworthy. He has always judged others. Now others will judge him. He thinks of the Dark Apostle's taunt. Who gave you the right? He thinks of his own answer. I have only duty. Maybe it is time to stand on the other side of a gate. Very well, he says. I will go to Terra. I will stand before your Emperor. I will let him decide what I may do in his storm. Severian bows, eyes bright. The Emperor protects, he says. Varro's face is unreadable. Inside, he feels both relief and worry. Relief, because this takes the problem of the Angel's mandate out of his hands. Worry, because bringing a being like SCP-001 to Terra is itself a risk. If something goes wrong there, the heart of the Imperium will shake. Juno looks up at the glowing figure. Before you go, she says, know this. The people of Vardos Prime will remember you. Some will call you savior. Some will blame you for the psychers who died. Both will be true in their way. She smiles faintly, tired. Welcome to being an Imperial hero, she says. Far away, in a place beyond the warp, SCP-001's first gate shivers. The crack along its arch has stopped growing for now. His great no held it in place, even as it hurt him. Beyond it, shapes press. Some are held back by his continued grip on the chain. Some see, through thin lines, a new light on a distant world called Terra. They whisper, they plan, they wait. The Angel has chosen to walk toward another throne. His path is set. The cost of his choices in this war will follow him there. The ship that carries him to Terra is called the Pillar of Testament. It is an ancient battleship, its hull thick with armor and shrines. Statues of saints cling to its spine. Gun batteries line its flanks. Cherub servitors flutter around its towers, little winged bodies with baby faces and machine eyes. SCP-001 does not ride inside it. He rides beside it. He hangs in the void off its starboard side, wings folded close, a pale star that matches the ship's course. Warp drives thrum. Geller fields flicker, forming a bubble that keeps the worst of the warp from eating the crew. He feels the field brush his light. It hums with prayers and machine codes. It is a crude shield, but it works. It is a man-made answer to the same problem he was made to solve. What crosses from one place to another, and how? Inside the Pillar of Testament, the Imperium travels with him. Admiral Juno walks its bridge, though this is not her ship. She has been assigned as fleet liaison to Terra, to speak for the Navy that saw the Angel first. Inquisitor Varro has a secure chamber deep in the spine, lined with wards and old burns. His rosette opened every lock on the way in. Canoness Prelate Severian spends much of his time in the main chapel, leading long services and writing reports for the ecclesiarchy. There are also others. Custodes ride in a quiet chamber near the core. They are the Emperor's personal bodyguards, tall and golden, almost never seen away from Terra. A small squad has been sent to watch the Angel. Sisters of Silence move among the decks. They are blanks, women with no presence in the warp. To psychers and demons, they are holes in reality. To SCP-001, they feel like cool shadows. They do not speak. Their tongues are taken in their oath. They use hand signs and looks. The journey is a pilgrimage and a test. In the main chapel, 1,000 crew kneel. They face a great statue of the Emperor, seated on a throne, sword in hand. Candles burn at its feet. Servo skulls hover overhead, projecting holy texts. Canoness Prelate Severian stands at the front. His staff glows. "We travel to Holy Terra," he cries, "to the seat of the Master of Mankind. We bear with us a being of great power, an angel that saved Vardos Prime and shook the warp." Murmurs rise. Severian slams his staff once. "But hear this," he says. "Power does not mean purity. Signs do not mean sainthood. The Emperor will judge this angel as he judges all of us. If this being is holy, he will raise it. If it is false, he will destroy it. Our duty is to trust his will." He looks over the crowd. "Do not worship what is not yet proven," he says. "Do not curse what is not yet condemned. Pray instead for wisdom, for yourselves, for your commanders, for your inquisitors, and for this strange guardian we carry." He lowers his staff. "Now," he says more softly, "pray for those who died so we could make this journey, for the psychers who burned, for the sailors lost in the void, for Captain Marius and his brothers on the blasphemous. Choir." Voices rise. Hymns echo off metal walls. Outside the ship, SCP-001 hears the prayers. He does not understand every word. The Emperor they pray to is not his maker, but the shape of the plea is familiar. "Protect us. Judge us fairly. Do not forget us." He has heard many such cries at many doors. In the Medicae Bay, wounded lie in cots. Some are guardsmen with bandaged limbs. Some are crew from damaged ships in the Vardos system. Some are psychers, their heads wrapped in white cloth stained with red. Medici move between them, checking drips and machines. Varro walks among the beds. He looks tired. His coat smells of incense, sweat, and ship oil. He pauses at a cot where a young astropath lies staring at nothing. Her eyes are burned out, not by fire, but by a psychic blast. She turns her head toward him without seeing. "Lord, Inquisitor," she whispers, "is it over? Is the song gone?" Varro sits on the edge of her bed. "Yes," he says. "The Chaos Song is gone. Our ally cut it. You felt the blast." She smiles weakly. "It was loud," she says. Like all the no in the universe shouted at once." She frowns. "It hurt. But then, it was quiet. I thought I heard something after. A gate, far away." Varro's throat tightens. "That is not for you to worry about," he says. "You did your duty." "Did the angel do his?" she asks. Varro looks up. SCP-001 stands at the far end of the bay. He had slipped in without anyone hearing. His light is dimmed here out of mercy for wounded eyes. He looks at each bed, at each soul. His wings are folded tight. "Yes," Varro says at last. "He did his duty too." The astropath nods. "Then it was worth it," she says. Her hand relaxes. She drifts into sleep. Varro stands. He walks toward SCP-001. Some Medici bow their heads as he passes. Others just stare. Varro stops a few steps from the angel. "We are both walking through the bodies our choices made," he says quietly. "How does it feel to you?" SCP-001 looks at a psyker whose brain is scarred beyond repair. "Heavy," he says. "Every blow I struck in the warp hit these minds too. I knew it might happen. Knowing does not make it easier." Varro nods. "This is what I wanted you to see," he says. "You are not just a clean blade cutting unworthy souls. You are a bomb sometimes. You kill by accident as well as on purpose, like us." He folds his arms. "You said you accept being imperfect," he says. "Can you accept this too? that your duty now includes harm you did not mean. SCP-001 is quiet. I must, he says. If I refuse, I lie. If I lie, my law rots from within. Varro's lips twitch. That is very close to our own dogma, he says. The part we do not put in sermons. We tell people the Emperor is perfect. We tell ourselves that we are not, but we act anyway. He looks up. When you stand before him, Varro says, he will see every choice you made, every yes and no. He will know things about your law you do not. Are you ready for that? SCP-001's light flickers. No, he says, but I will go anyway. Varro nods. Good, he says. That is the only honest answer. Later, in a small chapel off a main corridor, Juno and Severian speak. Candles burn low. A single icon of the Emperor looks down. Juno has taken off her coat. She wears a simple navy jumpsuit, the cloth dark with old stains. Her augmetic eye clicks. Severian's staff leans against the wall. Without it, he looks smaller, but his eyes still burn. You give that thing too much trust, he says. Juno sighs. You give him too much fear, she replies. He is not a man, Severian says. He's a thing of law and fire from another realm. He speaks of his own maker and gate. He killed psychers by the dozen. He bent the warp. He must be judged very carefully. Juno nods. I do not disagree, she says. But if the Emperor chooses to use him, to trust him, will you argue? Severian hesitates. No, he says. If the throne approves, the Church must obey. But we must be ready for the other answer. He sits on a bench. I have spent my life preaching about angels, he says. Living saints. Miracles. I have told countless hive workers that the Emperor sends signs to the faithful. Now a being that looks like the angels in stained glass has come, and it might not be his. He laughs shortly. Do you see the problem? He asks. Juno sits beside him. I do, she says. You fear your flocks may worship a false sign, and you fear that if this being is true, you have been speaking of things you did not understand. Severian rubs his face. Yes, he says. I am not used to being this uncertain. Juno leans back. I am an admiral, she says. I deal with void battles, tonnage, fuel, crew. I am not used to this, to angels and hymns that eat laws. But I saw Helios 001 fight for my world. I saw him choose not to save my captain because it would cost too much. That choice was cruel and correct. She looks at the icon. I respect that, she says. It feels like the Emperor's way, hard, heavy, and unwilling to run from cost. Severian studies her. You think the Angel's code matches his, he says. I think they rhyme, she says. Duty over comfort. Sacrifice without cheering for it. No easy answers. Severian exhales. Then perhaps, he says, this meeting will be more interesting than blasphemous. Halfway through the voyage, the warp changes. Every ship's Geller field hums higher. Warning runes flash on consoles. Lesser psychers wake screaming, clutching their heads. The navigator, deep in his sealed dome, sees something approaching. It is not a ship. It is not a storm. It is a concept. He cries out. The Vox carries his words in broken bursts. Something ahead, in the currents, like a wall and a mirror. I have never. SCP-001 feels it too. He is close to the pillar, letting its field shield the mortals. Now he feels a pressure in the warp, not unlike his own law, but colder. He turns. Before the ship, the warp thickens. A shape steps out. It looks like him. It is tall, winged, and carries a sword, but its light is not white gold. It is blue-black, like the edge of a closed door. Its wings are made of metal bars. Chains hang from its arms. Where SCP-001's sword burns, This one's blade is grey and dull. It lifts its head. Its eyes are empty locks. SCP-001 knows it at once, not as a person he has met, but as an answer he once turned away. It is what he might have been if he had chosen the other path the Dark Apostle offered. Close all doors, deny all entry, end doubt by ending choice. It is the Absolute Warden. It speaks in his mind. You doubt, it says. Its voice is flat. Your chain bleeds. Your gate cracks. Your law is bent by mercy. This is error. The crew of the pillar feel a cold weight press on their souls. Some freeze in place. Some clutch at their chests. The Geller field flickers. Varro feels the air pressure change in his chamber. He grabs his rosary and curses. We have a visitor, he says. Juno on the bridge sees the warp viewers show a dark giant blocking their path. Severian feels his prayers die in his throat. The Sisters of Silence gather at key points, hands on sword hilts, their blank fields pushing back against the cold, but not stopping it. SCP-001 faces the mirror. I know what you are, he says. The Absolute Warden tilts its head. I am what you are meant to be, it says. You were made to guard the gate, not to feel, not to bend. You were made to apply the law without doubt. Chains rattle as it lifts a hand. You left your post, it says. You risked your duty for another realm. You spared some who might be unworthy. You refused to end a world when it was the clean path. Its voice never rises. Error, it says. SCP-1 feels each word hit like a weight. I chose to care, he says. I chose to see faces, not just lines. I chose to accept that I might be wrong and still act. The Absolute Warden's eyes are two keyholes. Feeling is not part of the law, it says. Doubt is not part of the law. You are unfit to bear it. Release your chain. I will take it. I will close all doors. There will be no more cracks, no more hymns, no more cost. SCP-001 knows that if he gives the chain to this thing, his first gate will be shut forever. No tears, no cracks, no mercy. Anyone outside will stay outside. Everyone inside will stay inside. No more choices, no more screams at the door. Some part of him aches for that, the tired part. He shakes his head. That is not guarding, he says. That is quitting in another shape. The Absolute Warden does not move. Your mercy is quitting, it says. You let your law be stained by feelings. You risk two realms for a handful of mortals. Quitting your task dressed in pity is still quitting. Its sword lifts. If you will not hand over the chain, it says, I will take it off your dead hands. The Pillar of Testament hangs in the warp, caught between two laws. The navigator cries out that their path is blocked. He cannot see a route around the dark shape without entering storms that will tear the ship apart. Juno grips the rail on the bridge. Can we fire? She demands. Gunnery officers look at her like she is mad. At that, one asks. Admiral, there is nothing to lock onto. Our shots would pass through warped space. Varro appears on the hololith. We cannot help him, he says. This is like the battle with the Dark Apostle, but sharper. It is his flaw made into a foe. Only he can face it. Juno grits her teeth. Then all we can do, she says, is make sure our people do not break while they watch. She raises her voice. All hands, she says over the vox. This is Admiral Juno. You are about to see strange things. Remember your training. Remember your faith. The Emperor watches. Do your duty. On lower decks, crew repeat her words. In the chapel, Severian drops to his knees. Lord of mankind, he prays, we bear a guest to your throne. Do not let him fall before he stands before you. If this is your test, give him strength. If it is not, shield us from the blast. The Sisters of Silence form a ring around the main Geller field generators. Their null auras push back the pressure of the Absolute Warden's presence, at least enough to keep the field from cracking completely. SCP-001 steps between the ship and the mirror. His wings are ragged, but he spreads them wide. "Behind me," he tells the pillar. The crew do not hear the words, but they feel a flicker of quiet in their minds. The Absolute Warden raises its sword. Its blade is not fire, it is absence. Where it passes, warp currents still. Colors fade. All paths but one vanish. It swings. SCP-001 meets it. When their swords clash, there is no light. There is silence. Every nearby warp eddy freezes for a heartbeat. Every Geller field goes flat. Every psyker along the route gasps as their thoughts stutter. The two Guardians push. The Absolute Warden presses a single idea. Deny all. SCP-001 pushes another. Choose. Their swords grind. Chains around the mirror's arms tighten. The chain to SCP-001's first gate strains. The pressure on the ship rises. On the bridge, consoles pop. Sparks shower. Some crew clutch at their eyes as their vision whiteouts then returns. In the navigator's dome, the third eye in his forehead weeps blood. He sees not the tracks of warp whales or storms, but two towering laws wrestling. If one wins fully, the currents will change forever. He whispers a name. Astronomicon, he says. The Astronomicon is the Emperor's great psychic beacon on Terra. It shines through the warp, guiding ships. Now, as the pillar hangs in danger, it flares. Every psyker on the ship sees it in their mind. A lance of golden light from far ahead, piercing the warp fog. SCP-001 sees it too. He sees a door of his own kind, but different. Not a single gate, but a throne made of machines and will, holding back a tide. For a heartbeat, his chain to his first gate hums in tune with that distant light. The Absolute Warden snarls. The throne is not our law, it says. Our law was written by another hand. Do not mix them. SCP-001's wings shiver. He understands something in that golden beam. The Emperor does not have a perfect law either. He has a need. Keep humanity alive. He uses any tool, any rule to do it. His throne is not a holy seat first. It is a life support for a dying mind that still works. Duty, not purity. SCP-001 sees a path. We were made by different hands, he says to the mirror. But our work has become linked. I cannot pretend my gate stands alone anymore. Not after I stepped into this storm. He glances toward the distant light. I must reach that throne, he says. Only there can I weigh my old duty against this new one fully. Until then, I will not let you freeze my choices. He shifts his weight. Instead of trying to break the Absolute Warden's sword, he twists his own. He cuts, not the blade, not the chains, but a tiny piece of the space between them. He writes a small rule in that cut. For this voyage, it says, paths for this ship must remain open. The Absolute Warden's next push slides off that rule. Its blade cannot close those particular doors, just for now. The Mirror Guardian feels it. It hisses. You waste law on mortals, it says. They are part of the door I guard now, SCP-001 says. I accept that. He steps back. He does not try to kill the mirror. He cannot. It is not just an enemy. It is a part of him he must carry. Instead, he raises his sword in a small salute. Guard my first gate while I am gone, he says. Close doors there if you must. I will answer to that later. But here now, you will not stop me. The Absolute Warden's empty eyes narrow. Error acknowledged, it says. Review delayed. It steps back. It folds into the warp. It does not vanish fully. It lingers at the edge of his sense, a cold potential. A path not taken, but still there. The pressure on the pillar eases. The Geller field hums back to normal. The navigator slumps in his chair, sobbing once, then locking his jaw. "We have a path," he croaks. "The Astronomicon guides. The obstruction has moved aside." On the bridge, Juno exhales. "All hands," she says into the Vox. "Crisis past. Maintain course. Stay sharp." In the chapel, Severian feels the weight lift. He raises his staff. "Someone heard us," he prays, "or he decided to test another day." Varro in his chamber writes notes. "Mirror entity encountered," he logs. "Appears to be a conceptual opposite of Helios 001, embodying total denial. Confrontation suggests our angel has accepted that his duty now includes humanity, in a way his original brief did not. Dangerous, but perhaps necessary." Codex note. In later Ordo Malleus files, the Absolute Warden event is marked as the first observed instance of a foreign metaphysical construct accepting partial subordination to the Astronomicon's guidance. The rest of the voyage passes without such storms. There are still smaller warp squalls. The Geller field flickers once in a while. A minor demon presses against the hull and is burned away. But no more mirror foes step into their path. As they draw closer to the Sol system, the air on the pillar seems to change. People walk with straighter backs. Prayers grow louder. Terra is not just a planet. It is a symbol, a weight. The idea of it presses on them even before its gravity does. SCP-001 feels the Astronomicon grow brighter. It is not a gate. It is a beacon. It does not judge who passes. It only lights the way. He wonders, briefly, what it would be like to be only that, to show paths, not choose who walks them. Then he lets the thought go. He is what he is. The Sol system is a fortress. As the Pillar of Testament drops out of warp under the careful hand of its navigator, its augers light up with contacts. Gun platforms hang in the dark like knives. Orbital defense stations turn vast cannons toward any new arrival. Battle fleet solar ships patrol in tight patterns, hulls bristling with weaponry and antennae. As the pillar's identity codes stream out, challenge signals come back. "Vessel Pillar of Testament, state your business and cargo," a stern voice demands. Juno stands on the bridge beside the ship's master. She steps forward. "This is Admiral Hera Juno of Battlefleet Vardos, attached to the pillar as special envoy," she says. "We bear Inquisitor Caldas Varro, Canones Prelate Severian, and a primary anomalous asset designated Helios 001 by order of the Senatorum Imperialis bound for Terra." There is a long pause. Sensors show dozens of guns tracking them. Then a new voice speaks. It is not a Navy voice. It is colder, more precise. "This is Shield Commander Valen of the Adeptus Custodes," it says. "Your identity is confirmed. Your anomalous asset has been noted. You will follow the beacon path I send. Any deviation will be answered with lethal force. Do you understand?" Juno swallows. "Understood," she says. A path appears on the nav plot. They follow it. As they pass deeper into the system, SCP-001 moves closer. He sees each defense layer. He sees the rings of satellites, the watch fortresses on moons, the minefields. He sees Mars, red and covered in forge hives. He feels the machine prayers rise from it like heat. He sees Luna, scarred and fortified. And then he sees Terra. It fills the view. It is not as it was in ancient times. Its seas are smaller. Its land masses are covered in hive cities and cathedrals. Its atmosphere is a haze of smoke and incense. One structure dominates all. The Imperial Palace. It sprawls over a continent. It is a mountain range of walls, towers, domes, and spires, all built around a central peak. At its heart, he feels a pull. The Golden Throne. It is a chair and a machine and a gate all at once. It holds back tides he can feel even from orbit. He stops. For a heartbeat, he cannot move. This is not his gate, but it is like standing near another guard post and hearing the tired breathing of the one sitting there. The pillar glides into a high orbit slot. Shuttle bays open. Orders fly. SCP-001 folds his wings. He falls. The sky of Terra is thick with craft. Gunships, shuttles, and stormbirds scream through smog. Aquilas, the small noble transports, glide on fixed courses under escort. SCP-001 drops through them all. Some pilots see a flash of white and gold and gasp. Some do not see him at all. Their minds skip over his presence. He angles himself toward the palace. Thunderheads gather around its peak. Lightning plays along adamantium buttresses and statues of conquering primarchs. He passes defense towers. Weapons track him. They do not fire. He senses minds locked on him. Disciplined, cold. Custodes. They are not afraid. They are not impressed. They are measuring. As he nears the outer wall, a field rises in front of him. It is not a Geller field. It is a psychic curtain, woven by the best human minds left, powered by countless souls. It says stop. He stops. He hangs there, wings beating slowly. Below, a gate opens. It is a real physical gate, huge and layered with gold. It swings inward. A procession walks out. At its head are custodes. They wear golden armor that shines even in smog shadow. Each carries a guardian spear. Their helms are crested with red plumes. Behind them come Sisters of Silence, hoods up, blades at their sides. Inquisitor Varro, Admiral Juno, and Canoness Prelate Severian stand further back, dwarfed by the giants. They have travelled down by shuttle to be witnesses. A Custodes raises his spear. His voice carries without vox. Helios 001, he says, you stand before the walls of the Imperial Palace. By order of the High Lords, and by the will of the Captain General of the Adeptus Custodes, you are invited to enter and stand before the Golden Throne. You will come in peace. You will lay down all claim to judgment while inside, save for what the Master of Mankind permits. Do you accept? The words have weight. Lay down all claim to judgment. SCP-001 feels his law stir. His very being is tied to judging. To deny souls or spare them, to walk through a door where he does not judge, is against his nature. But he came for this. I accept, he says. He folds his wings tighter. He lets the field draw him in. He passes through stone and gold and wards. He feels his sword dim, not because it is taken, but because he wills it. He must not swing here unless asked. This is another's gate. He will respect that. He enters the palace. The inside of the Imperial Palace is a city of halls. He passes through a chamber where tanks sit as offerings, their guns garlanded with flowers. He moves through a hallway lined with statues of Space Marine primarchs, the Emperor's gene sons, frozen in marble glory. He glides over a floor where pilgrims crawl on their knees, tongues chanting prayers in 100 dialects. He passes ranks of scribes who never look up from their endless work, filling books with tiny script. His light makes some of them pause. They think he is a vision. Then they bow their heads and write faster. Custodes flank him at all times. Their spears are held upright, but they could move in a blink. Sisters of Silence walk just behind. Their null fields press against his light like cold hands. He does not resist. He walks deeper. At last, he reaches a great door. It is not as large as the outer gate in measure, but in weight it is greater. Skulls line its frame. Golden aquilae spread their wings across its panels. It opens slowly. Beyond is a vast hall, the throne room. He enters. The air is thick, not with smoke but with power. Hundreds of psychers sit in galleries, linked to machines. Their minds feed the Astronomicon. Their bodies are wired into strange chairs. Some weep, some are silent. Huge columns rise to a high, dark ceiling. At the far end, on a raised platform, the golden throne looms. It is a mass of gold and machinery. Cables as thick as tree trunks snake into it. Pipes hiss. Skulls with glowing eyes monitor dials. On the seat sits a figure. He is a corpse. He is a god. He is the emperor. His body is withered, armor fused into bone. His eyes are hollow sockets filled with light. His hands rest on the arms of the throne. He does not move. But the room is full of him. SCP-001 feels it. He feels an old, vast mind stretched thin across a galaxy, still holding its grip on 10,000 things. He feels pain. More pain than any mortal could bear. He feels will. Steel hard, unbending. He stops halfway down the hall. He bows his head. He does not kneel. He cannot. He has never knelt. But he lowers his sword fully, points to the floor, and dims his wings to almost nothing. The custodes halt behind and beside him. Varro, Juno, and Severian stand far back in a side gallery, small and lost in the shadow. No one speaks aloud. The throne room is mostly silent. Then a voice enters SCP-001's mind. It is not like the Dark Apostles. It is not like the hymn. It is like stone speaking. You have come far, it says. There is no anger, no warmth, just fact. SCP lifts his head a little. I have, he answers in thought. From another realm, from another gate. Memories flash between them. The Emperor sees the first gate in a place that is not the warp. He sees SCP-001 standing there for ages, turning souls away. He sees the law written in the angel's bones. Guard the way. Spare the innocent. Deny the unworthy. SCP-001 sees, in turn, scenes he only half knew until now. He sees the Emperor as a warlord on old Earth, leading armies. He sees him on the Great Crusade, building the Imperium. He sees him on the bridge of his flagship, the Vengeful Spirit, facing his traitor son Horus. He sees the moment he was mortally wounded, chained to the throne. He feels the vow. Keep humanity alive, whatever it takes. Their minds touch, just for breaths. The Emperor's voice comes again. You chose to leave your first post, he says. Why? SCP-001 answers with images. He shows the storm of the warp growing. He shows it brushing his gate. He shows screams from two sides. If I did nothing, he says, your storm would break my door from the wrong side. Innocence inside would be torn. Unworthy things outside would flood in. I could not accept that. I am a guard. I must go where the breach will form. The Emperor considers. You judge that my war would reach your realm, he says. You judge that helping me would also help you. Self-interest and mercy mixed. Yes, SCP-001 says. I do not deny it. He feels no displeasure. Honesty pleases the throne. Since coming here, the Emperor says, you have bent the warp. You have set new rules. You have killed my enemies and some of my servants. You have saved worlds and risked others. You have accepted that you are imperfect. He pauses. Do you think you have the right to judge my people? He asks. SCP-001 feels the weight of the question. For the first time, he thinks carefully before answering. Right? He says. No. Duty. Yes. Duty given by my maker. Duty I chose to extend to your storm when I saw it would drown more than one realm. He lifts his head a bit more. But I do not claim a right, he says. That word belongs to you here. He feels, faintly, a shift. Approval. Not quite. Respect. You understand the difference, the Emperor says. Good. The throne's mind brushes his law. He feels it like a hand on his script. You were made to judge at one gate, the Emperor says. All your rules flow from that. Here, I am gate and guard and wall all at once. I do not need another god to judge my people, but I can use tools. Images flash. He sees space marines, inquisitors, ships, planets. He sees exterminatus orders signed with a tired hand. He sees saints rising with burning eyes. All my tools are flawed, the Emperor says. All cost lives. All make errors. I use them anyway. I do not have the luxury of perfect choices. His mental voice hardens. If I let you roam free, he says, you will cut more rules into my storm. You will save some I would not. You will kill some I would spare. You will bring your maker's law into my realm, and the warp will echo it. He presses a little. SCP-001 feels his chain hum. I cannot allow that without terms, the Emperor says. I will not have a second throne built in. My shadow. SCP-001 bows his head. I did not come to build a throne, he says. I came to ask how my law can stand beside yours without tearing both realms. Their minds touch deeper. For a moment, SCP-001 sees a strange view. He sees a map of humanity, not in stars, but in choices. He sees all the times the Emperor chose to act or not act. He sees worlds saved and worlds burned by those choices. He sees how often there was no good option, only less terrible. The Emperor lets him see enough to understand one thing. This throne is not a place of glory. It is a place of endless cost. You and I share one burden, the Emperor says. We decide who stands at the door. We decide who pays. We both do it with less knowledge than we would like, under worse conditions than we wish. There is a grim kinship in the words. You want to be a guard here, the Emperor says. You want to stand in my storm. Very well. Here is my judgment. The hall seems to tighten. The custards shift weight. Varro, Juno, and Severian hold their breath far away. The Emperor's will wraps around SCP-001's law. You may act in my realm, he says, but you will not write new rules across the warp without my consent. You will not cut great truths, only small paths. You will not say no to everything at once again unless I permit it. You will speak your law through my tools, not over them. SCP-001 feels limits settle. They are not chains like his first gate, but they are real. If he tries to change a whole class of warp ritual now, he will feel resistance. If he tries to blast a hymn across a sector again, he will hit a wall. At the same time, he feels new channels open. They run through inquisitors, saints, admirals, captains, unnamed guardsmen, through ordinary people like Lyra. He can whisper judgments, suggestions, small cuts in the heat of a choice. He cannot rewrite doctrine alone. You will be a knife, not a hammer, the Emperor says. Sharp, targeted. You will guard where I cannot look, but you will answer when I ask. You will accept that sometimes I will override your call. SCP-001 lets the limits sink in. They sting. Part of him rebels. He was used to drawing circles around galaxies. Now he must trace lines in street corners. But he came here for this, to place his duty in a wider frame. I accept, he says. And one more thing, the Emperor says. His mental voice cools. You will not abandon your first gate, he says. Its chain stays in your hand. You will not cut it. You will not give it to that cold thing that came to you. You will bear both duties, mine and your maker's. You chose this. You will carry it. SCP-001 shudders. 2 gates, 2 realms, 2 storms. He feels the weight double. He nearly collapses. If you drop either, the Emperor says, you will become a danger to both. At that point, I will order you destroyed, even if it costs me worlds. Do you understand? Yes, SCP-1 whispers. The Emperor's mind eases off. Then go, he says. Think on what I have shown you. Speak with my servants. When you are ready, you will choose how you walk under this new mandate. The mental voice fades. The light in the throne's eyes dims back to its usual steady glare. To most in the hall, nothing has happened. To SCP-001, everything has. He backs away, sword still lowered. He does not turn his back on the throne. Only when he reaches the great door does he let it close behind him. In a quiet file room deep in the palace, an inquisitorial scribe writes a summary of the new rules for Helios 001. He notes that the entity may no longer alter broad warp laws at will. Its interventions must now be narrow, affecting specific gates, rituals, or paths, not whole classes of sorcery. He explains that each time Helios 001 tries to protect both his original gate and the Imperium at once, the strain will hurt him, making him weaker and blind in small patches. He records that the Emperor has reserved the right to countermand any judgment Helios makes in the Materium, and that if the entity ever attempts another sector-wide denial without sanction, the throne will act against it. Finally, he adds that while these limits protect the Imperium from uncontrolled changes, they also mean that every cut Helios 001 makes must be chosen with care, because he cannot simply fix mistakes with another big law. Up to now, the angel has fought the Iron Seraphim, survived a hymn that eats his right to judge, faced his own cold mirror in the warp, and stood before the golden throne, accepting new limits from the Emperor, but not yet choosing how to live under them. The room they give him is bigger than most hive districts. It is a vaulted hall somewhere deep in the palace, with walls of white stone and gold. Tall windows show Terra's smog sky. Statues of unknown saints stand in alcoves. SCP-001 sits in the middle. He does not need a chair. He hangs a little above the floor, wings folded, sword across his knees. His light is low. It paints soft shadows. He feels the new rules in his being. They are like fresh scars around his law. He tries a small test. He thinks of saying no to every warp storm in a whole sector at once. Nothing happens. The Emperor's limit holds. He cannot make a big cut like that now, not without consent. He tries another. He thinks of closing a single tiny cult gate in a hive on some backwater. He feels the slender path open. He could speak there, if asked. Small cuts only. He exhales. It is like learning to walk again, with weight on his shoulders. The door opens. Inquisitor Varro steps in. He has left his hat and some robes behind. He wears simple armor plates over cloth, rosettes still at his chest. Lines at his eyes seem deeper. 2 custodes wait outside, but they do not come in. Varro looks around the huge room. Comfortable, he says. For a cell. SCP-001 looks at him. I am not locked, he says. Not by doors, Varro replies. But you feel the limits, yes? Yes. Varro walks closer. You have spoken with him, he says. The rest of us do not get that chance. Not in this life. Tell me, in simple terms, what did he do to you? SCP-001 weighs his words. He made my cut smaller, he says. He will not let me change the warp on a wide scale without his leave. He has tied my law to his tools. If I want to act, I must often work through people like you. Varro nods slowly. And your first gate? He asks. Your chain? Still in my hand, SCP-001 says. He ordered me never to drop it. I must guard both now. Varro's mouth pulls tight. That is a hard sentence, he says. It is a fair one, SCP-001 says. Varro studies him. Now you must choose how to live under this, he says. You cannot just drift. He will not let you. Neither will we. He looks up at the tall windows. The High Lords will ask for a report, he says. Some will want you bound to Terra as a weapon on a leash. Some will want you sent back to wherever you came from. Some will want you destroyed, but I think that ship has sailed. His eyes return to the angel. They will also ask me, what does Helios-001 want? He says. How do I answer? SCP-001 is silent. He still does not know. I must think, he says at last. Varro nods. Then think, he says, but not too long. In this palace, delay is also a choice, and it always costs someone. He turns to go. At the door, he pauses. One more thing, he says without facing back. Whatever path you choose, there will be times when I must stand against you. If your duty to your first gate and your duty to us pull apart, you may hurt my people. If that happens, I will remember what we spoke. I will not paint you as a demon, but I will still try to stop you. SCP-001 inclines his head. That is your duty, he says. I would think less of you if you promise not to. Varro gives a small, tired smile where the angel cannot see it. Good, he says. He leaves. Time passes. It is hard to measure here. The palace runs on its own clocks, marked by bells and prayer cycles, not by a natural sky. SCP-001 waits. He listens to Terra. He hears billions of voices humming like a swarm. He filters them without trying. Most are small things: hunger, fear, love, work, prayer. Some are bigger. An assassin creeping through a lower palace hall. A clerk deciding whether to hide a mistake or report it. A colonel signing off on food shipments that will leave a fringe regiment hungry so that a more favored one can eat. He could act in each case. A tiny cut, a whisper, a push. But he does nothing. Not yet. He must not start cutting before he knows the lines he is allowed. He waits for the next call. It comes when he dreams without sleep. He stands on a plain. The sky above is black and gold. The ground is a mirror reflecting stars. 3 roads run out from where he stands. They are not normal roads. Each is a thick band of images. On the first, he sees his first gate, whole and bright. On the second, he sees stars scattered with small, sharp lights that are himself, moving at will. On the third, he sees banners of the double-headed eagle with his own sigil woven in. There is no visible figure, but he feels the throne's mind watching. A voice speaks in his head. Not long, not a lecture. You asked what paths you have, the Emperor says. See them. SCP-001 looks at the first road. Images rise. He sees himself turn away from Terra, from the Imperium, from this whole galaxy. He sees himself pulled back along his chain to his first gate. He stands there again, alone before its arch. The crack is still there, but he has both hands now. No other duty pulls him. He pours all his being into that guard. The crack stops growing. Some things that had begun to push through are sealed back in. The storm from this galaxy still brushes the gate, but it is weaker. The Astronomican's light fades from his sense over ages as the Imperium fights and dies without him. He sees Vardos Prime again in this path. Chaos fleets come later. The Iron Seraphim find other worlds. Vardos falls in one of many wars that no one can stop in time. Lyra dies in a collapsed hab block under demon claws. But far away, fewer screams reach his gate. He guards his first duty well. He also sees something else. Without his no in this war, the hymn of broken doors spreads wider. It finds other metaphysical guards. Some break, some twist. His own realm takes new wounds from that song. He hears the Emperor's thought. This is the path of return, the throne says. You save your first charge more fully. You leave mine to their fate. You remove yourself as a tool from this war. You may sleep easier in some ways, harder in others. The images fade. He looks at the second road. He steps closer. Images rise. He sees himself in many places at once. He is not tied to any banner. He appears over hive wars, orc invasions, chaos rituals. Sometimes he helps the Imperium. Sometimes he helps small groups of humans the Imperium calls heretics, but he judges innocent. Sometimes he aids Xenos who stand between the warp and weak minds. He writes his own map. He answers calls he hears, without asking for orders. He cuts gates, saves cots, stops exterminator strikes he finds unjust by breaking the ships that carry the torpedoes. He also makes enemies. Some inquisitors call him a false god and preach crusades against him. Some Space Marine chapters swear to destroy him after he denies them vengeance. Some worlds pray to him instead of the Emperor. Cults rise that twist his law into the angel saves all, which he hates. Civil wars flare in his name. He looks again. He sees Lyra on Vardos Prime in this road. Sometimes he saves her. Sometimes he does not. His sight is thinly spread. He cannot be everywhere. He sees his first gate on this path too. Its crack grows. He still holds the chain, but he is often turned away, dealing with fights here. The Absolute Warden stalks around the gate, closing doors too hard. He hears the throne's thought. This is the path of the free agent, the Emperor says. You act alone. You pick your own battles. You save lives the Imperium would waste, and sometimes you waste lives it would save. You pull the war toward your own pattern. You risk schism, legend, civil strife. The images fade. He looks at the third road. He steps closer. Images rise. He sees inquisitorial seals stamped with a new mark, a winged sword with one half in gold, one half in white. He sees documents marked Lex Gate Warden, new laws about when and how a certain angelic asset may be used. He sees himself arriving on worlds not by his own whim, but by summons. An Ordo Malleus Inquisitor calls him to cut a demonic breach. A battle fleet commander begs him to twist a small warp path so her fleet can ambush an enemy. A Ministorum Synod asks him to judge whether a claimed miracle is real. He answers when he can. Sometimes he feels a tug to go somewhere else, but he stays where the seal calls him. His time is not his own. He also sees times when he refuses. An Inquisitor orders him to kill a whole city on suspicion. He feels the Emperor's silent gaze on that order. He feels his own law burn. He says no. He feels no punishment from the throne. He sees Vardos Prime on this road. In some futures on this path, Vardos still falls in later wars. In others, it stands longer. Lyra lives a hard life, maybe fighting in the guard, maybe dying in old age in a cleaner hive. He sees his first gate here too. Its crack is smaller than in the free agent path, larger than in the full return. He visits when he can. The Absolute Warden stalks less, held back by his hand and by some thin thread of golden light from far away. He hears the throne's thought again. This is the path of sanctioned servant, the Emperor says. You accept mandate. You give up some freedom. You gain reach in some places and lose it in others. You will leave some calls unanswered to answer orders instead. You will be hated and praised. You will still bear both duties, but not alone. The roads shimmer. The Emperor does not say which is right. He does not give a command. He waits. SCP-001 stands in the middle. He thinks. He thinks of his maker, whose law wrote, "Guard the way, spare the innocent, deny the unworthy." He thinks of the Emperor, whose vow is, "Keep humanity alive, whatever it takes." He thinks of Lyra. He thinks of the child on the cot. He thinks of the psychers who burned in his no. He thinks of Captain Marius dying in his arms. He thinks of the Absolute Warden and the Dark Apostle and the Iron Seraphim. He thinks of walking alone again at his first gate, with no human faces in his sight, only strange souls from another realm. He thinks of walking free and doing whatever he chooses without answer to anyone. The taste of that freedom is sweet and bitter at once. He thinks of walking under mandate, under orders, tying his pride to another's chain. He remembers his own words. I have no right. I have duty. He smiles, a small sad thing. He steps toward the third road. I choose the harder leash, he says. The throne's presence does not flare in triumph. It just settles like a weight in quiet acceptance. So noted, the Emperor's thought says. The dream breaks. He wakes. The room is the same. He is not. His wings hum with a new pattern. Lines of light trace along the feathers, not just glyphs from his maker, but small double-headed eagles, each no bigger than a finger. They mark him as bound to the Imperium's war, not fully owned but tied. The blade of his sword has changed. Near the hilt, where the metal meets his hand, two symbols sit side by side. One is the old sigil of his first gate, a circle with a vertical line. The other is the aquila, etched in light. They do not fuse, they touch. His law feels the same at its core. Guard the way, spare the innocent, deny the unworthy. But carved around it now is another line, thinner and sharp. In this galaxy, act within the Emperor's war. He hears boots. Varro enters again, this time with Juno and Severian. Custodes stand at the door. All three humans stop when they see him. Juno's good eye widens. Her augmetic clicks. Severian makes the sign of the aquila. Varro's gaze sharpens. Something has changed, he says. Yes, SCP-001 says. I have chosen. They speak in a smaller council chamber. The table is plain. The stakes are not. Varro sits with a stack of data slates. Juno has a holomap of the segmentum active by her elbow. Severian has scrolls and a small vox link to his church superiors. SCP-001 stands at the far end, sword point resting on the floor. State it clearly, Varro says, so I can write it for the record. I will not return to my first gate alone, SCP-001 says. I will keep its chain, but I will also serve here. I will not act as a free god. I will act as a sanctioned servant. He meets Varro's eyes. I will answer summons from your ordos, he says, from your fleets, your shrines, when they carry the right seals. I will bend gates and cut paths as needed. I will not rewrite the warp-wide rules without consent. I will not act as a second emperor. I will accept his overrule when it comes. Varro nods slowly. Good, he says. But we need more detail. Boundaries, conditions. Juno leans in. And mercy, she says. Spell that out. SCP-001 thinks for a moment. First, he says, I will not aid in exterminatus without checking. If you call me to help burn a world, I will weigh its souls. If I see a better path that saves many without breaking wider doors, I will tell you. If you still choose to fire, and the Emperor does not forbid it, I will stand aside. I will not fight your ships unless he orders it. Varro writes quickly. Second, SCP-001 says, I will not serve as an assassin of thoughts. Do not call me to judge private doubts or small sins. My sword is for gates, not hearts. I will cut cults that open real doors to the warp. I will not cut minds just for wrong words. Severian looks up sharply. You would leave some heresies alone, he asks. SCP-001's light hardens a little. I will leave some fears and questions alone, he says. Heresy that leads to real demons, real gates, I will fight. Heresy that is only a man whispering doubt in the dark is your work, not mine. Severian frowns, but he does not argue. He knows his own priests will be busy no matter what. Third, SCP-001 says, I will treat the warp touched as you saw with the child. When time and risk allow, I will pull the seed instead of killing the host. When they are too far gone, I will not hesitate. But I will not accept blanket orders to murder all who carry even a taste of the warp. Varro sets his slate down. You will be at odds with many of my brothers, he says. Some Inquisitors trust only fire. Then let them use fire, SCP-001 says. I will use my law where I stand. We can argue in between. Juno smiles, tired but real. Fourth, she prompts. Fourth, SCP-001 says. I will be honest. When I do not know if someone is innocent or guilty, when the hymn's wound makes a blind spot, I will admit it. I will not pretend my judgment is perfect. In those cases, I will either refuse to cut or ask your eyes to guide me. Varro nods firmly. That one I like, he says. We have too many who claim certainty when they have none. Fifth, SCP-1 says, I will not accept worship. Severian blinks. What? He says. People will see me and want to build shrines, SCP-1 says. They already have. They will pray to me instead of to your Emperor. I will not take those prayers. If they come, I will turn them. I will remind them I am only a guard under a greater will. Severian studies him. That will please my superiors, he says, and it will scare them. A being that can reject worship is rare. I do not want a church, SCP-001 says. Churches can rot law from the inside with stories. I already carry enough weight. Varro looks at Juno. You hear this, he says. This is more humility than some cardinals I have met. Juno shrugs one shoulder. Perhaps we can send him to teach them, she says dryly. Severian almost smiles. They refine the rules. Varro adds clauses about chains of command. Requests for Helios 01 will go through the Order Malleus, he says. No planetary governor gets to whistle for you. The Ecclesiarchy may petition, but the Inquisition must co-sign. The Navy can request support in warp-heavy battles, but again, an Ordo seal is needed. He looks at the Angel. This keeps you from being pulled apart by 100 petty demands, he says, and it keeps us from using you to fight our own political games. Mostly. Mostly, Juno echoes. They all know nothing in the Imperium is pure. Severian writes a short creed. Helios 01 is a sanctioned guardian of thresholds, he sets down. He is to be honored as a tool of the Emperor's will, not worshipped as a god. His presence is a sign of grave warp danger or great mercy. Those who see him must redouble their duty, not slacken it. He looks up. This will go to the synods, he says. Some will fight it. Some will add 10 pages, but the seed will be there. Varro writes one more line. If Helios 001 breaks these bounds, he says quietly, or if he attempts wide unsanctioned cuts in the warp, or if he abandons his first gate, the Ordos will classify him as extremis contaminatus, target for containment or destruction, at any cost. SCP Varro does not flinch. Write it, he says. You must. Varro does. He signs. Juno signs. Severian signs. A custodes steps forward and presses a small sigil of the Aquila onto the slate. By this mark, he says, the throne notes this compact. Up to now, an alien gate guardian has accepted the limits of a dying god emperor, chosen to become a sanctioned servant instead of a free rival or a retreating warden, and set hard rules for when and how he will wield his terrible mercy. The first test comes soon, not on Terra, far away. A world called Caris Reach sends a broken astropathic cry. Cult activity, warp storms, A small fleet of heretic ships approaches. The local garrison is thin. An Ordo Malleus Inquisitor on a nearby station hears the call. He opens a steel case. Inside lies a small icon, a winged sword on white metal, stamped with the new Lex Gatewarden seal. He closes his eyes. "Helios 001, he says softly. "By mandate of the throne, by the Ordo Malleus, I summon you." A gate on Caris Reach shudders. "We need a guard." In the palace, deep in his hall, SCP-001 feels the pull. Not a chain. A call in a new channel, lined with the Emperor's gold and the Inquisition's iron. He could ignore it. He does not. He opens a path. The sky over Caris Reach tears. An angel steps through. The story on that world is its own long tale, full of blood and choices. But in it, he keeps his rules. He refuses when the local lord asks him to burn an entire underhive for being suspicious. He agrees when the Inquisitor asks him to close a gate that would have swallowed a continent. He pulls warp seeds from some children. He kills some psychers that are too far gone. He leaves some heretics to the church's own fire. He sees blind spots from his old wound, admits them, and lets human eyes lead in those places. He feels his chain to his first gate strain, but not crack. He feels once or twice the cold gaze of the Absolute Warden from far away. He keeps walking. Word spreads. On Terra, scribes copy the Lex Gatewarden into fat books. In inquisitorial fortresses, some lords of the Ordos nod in grim approval. A tool with rules is better than a wild force. Others sneer. The more we tie ourselves to angels, one says, the more we admit our own weakness. On shrine worlds, preachers adjust sermons. They speak of the Emperor's sword-bearer or the guardian of thresholds, always careful to say he is servant, not master. On Vardos Prime, a new painting appears in a small chapel near the Hive command spire. It shows Hive Helios in dark colours, demons clawing up, and above it, a winged figure with a burning sword. On his chest, half hidden in the paint, is the Aquila beside a strange circle. Lyra stands before it. Her hair is streaked with grey now. Years have passed. She wears a guard uniform. Her shoulder bears campaign badges. She has seen a dozen worlds. She has seen demons again. She has never again seen the angel as clearly as that first day. But she has felt, once or twice, a strange calm in the worst fire. She touches the painting's frame. They say he works for the throne now, a voice beside her says. She glances at the old Medicae, the same woman from the cot room, now with deeper lines. They say he only comes when the Inquisition calls, the Medicae goes on, so we shouldn't expect him. We should expect hard orders instead. Lyra smiles faintly. He came when no one called once, she says, when I only wanted him. Maybe that still counts for something. The Medicae snorts. Want is a kind of call, she says. That's what he told you, yes? Lyra nods. She looks at the painted sword. Do you think he still hears us? She asks. Maybe, the Medicae says. But even if he does, he has to follow rules now, just like us. Lyra laughs softly. Welcome to the Imperium, Angel, she murmurs. She lights a candle. Not to him, to the Emperor. But in her heart, she leaves a small space for a tired guard between two doors. In the depths of the warp, broken pieces of the Iron Seraphim's gate drift. On one shard, a figure clings. Kuldrask, or what is left of him, hangs from chains of thought. His metal wings are shattered. His mask is half melted to his face. His faith is burned, but not gone. He remembers the angel. He remembers the no that burned his priest's song. He remembers being flung into this hole. He laughs, a dry, mad sound. You think you can say who may enter, he rasps to the empty dark. You think you can stand with 2 thrones. We will teach you, gatekeeper. We will sing new hymns. We will break your law, and we will drag your chain into the pit. In the distance, something ancient and cruel stirs. The ruinous powers have noticed the new pattern in their storm. A being that cuts laws, a throne that binds him. They smile in their own ways. New games begin. On a craft world far from human space, an elder farser sits before a pool of still water. She drops a stone. Ripples show paths. She sees a new light moving through the skein of fate, sometimes bright, sometimes dim. It is tied to a golden glare she fears, and a strange other realm she cannot name. She frowns. A new gate, she whispers, and a new fool to stand before it, or perhaps a new chance. Her people do not pray to human thrones, but they mark this sign in their own grim diaries. Do not stand in his direct path, she writes, but perhaps one day stand beside it. In a fortress monastery on a distant world, Space Marines of the Azure Blades kneel in their reclusium. They honor a wall of names. Captain Marius's name is there, carved deep. Beside it, in smaller letters, is a new line. He died in the hands of a gate warden that others might live. The chapter master looks at that line. We owe the angel a debt, he says. The chaplain shakes his head. We owe the emperor our debt, he replies. The angel is only his knife. Knives break, the master says. Debts remain. Back on Terra, in a high chamber, Varro finishes reading a fresh report. Helios 001 has acted on Caris Reach. He has followed mostly the Lex Gate Warden. He has bent some details. Varro smiles slightly. Of course he has, he says. He looks out a narrow window at the palace towers. We have a new ally, he says quietly, and a new problem, just like always. A Custodes stands near the door. He says nothing. He does not need to. Both men know one thing. There is no going back to a galaxy without this angel. He is woven into the war now. SCP-001 stands once more in his hall on Terra. He feels the chain to his first gate. He feels the new channels to the Imperium. He hears a dozen small calls at once. A guardsman about to kill a child he thinks is tainted. A rogue trader considering opening a forbidden warp route for profit. A lowborn preacher thinking of lying to keep her flock calm. An Ordo Malleus seal flaring on a slate, summoning him to a world where a gate is truly about to break. He cannot answer all. He must choose. He smiles, without joy, but with a kind of peace. I was never free, he says to the empty air. I was always a guard. Now I know the shape of my posts. He lifts his sword. Light runs along it, pooling at the twin symbols near his hand. He steps toward the next gate.